Star Trek will not be presented tonight, so that we may bring you the following special program.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. First of all, I got to change the title on YouTube because already I thought we were just going to be a Bendis Tapes, and it's always good to see Brian Michael Bendis. How are you, Brian?
Hello.
Hello. But also joining us in a surprise full-on guest star role with his Sour Patch Candy. There you go, zooming in for the Sour Patch Candy. Very nice. Michael Avon Oming. Welcome back,
hey guys.
Mike.
And my cats.
And this is great because really, this is just a fuck around show.
This is a fuck around show. We're fucking around.
Absolutely.
No, I actually wanted to just talk about comics and shit. Talk about some stuff. Like me and Mike do this all the time. Also, for those who don't know, Mike and I have been working together now. This would be right now, as we're speaking, the 25th anniversary of Powers. And we are behind the scenes working very, very hard on something that challenges both of us and the idea and the anniversary of it, everything. And we're getting that ready for public consumption shortly. So we are in this moment. We're in a very warm and loving space with each other. And I'm very happy.
Always in a warm, loving space together. So cozy.
But this one is particularly cozy. No, we're actually having a very good time making something that we're making right now. So
and Brian said, Mike, last time I talked to him, that
why do I look like Barbara Walters?
I don't know.
Do I have a filter on
What's
me?
I'm zooming in on your
sweatshirt. Am I blurryish?
Yeah, there's some fog or something.
Well, you're a little darker, and I don't know if my lighting is fine or not.
Go ahead, you got a little schmutz in there.
There you go. Exactly.
It might be in my head.
But no, Mike. Last time I talked to Brian, he was saying he was like proposing other new ideas, and that you were like, "No, let's do some more Powers, man." So what's the deal?
Can I comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll comment. Mike has always been, hey, let's go make some Powers. And I'm like, and I was reaching. And I literally keep filling a part of my notes app with ideas that would have been great for Powers. Right. And so literally at a dinner, hey, Gregory.
Gregory Thorne, everybody. Fantastic chiming in. Hey, how you doing, Gregory?
Big fan. He is an excellent Blue Sky follow, by the way, if you're looking for your Blue Sky follows. Excellent links. So Mike's always doing many things at once and yelling out more Powers. And then I literally was slowly filling a book of things that I really would write the words, if we were still doing Powers, this would be excellent. And I'm like, all right, there's literally no one stopping us from making more Powers. And finally, the 25th anniversary hit, and I came to a much bigger idea that I wanted to pursue with Mike about Powers, and he was all in. So we're going for it. So we'll have that announcement soon. But this has been behind the scenes, like an excellent couple of weeks of good Powers news on many, many levels. Including finding out who's going to be joining us on this journey. It's just been very exciting.
Oh, we've had some really cool news lately.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
that's great. No, it's great to hear. I should ask you guys to get it out of the way because news this week: the Superman trailer dropping. Thoughts?
Yeah,
I gotta say, I've been very jaded about superhero films for a long time, and not for any particular reason, just whatever. I'm old and crotchety and stuff. And you've seen behind the curtains all the time, right? I really like this trailer, and I mean, I don't trust trailers very much, but I don't know. I've liked a lot of really impossible
How did you
stuff.
trust trailers? The
just don't.
commercials meant to make you feel good. Anyway.
And sometimes I think trailers are actively making you try to hate the films that they're promoting. You know, like overly done inspirational music, and it's like, is this a Kellogg's commercial or is this a trailer? I don't know.
You know what's a really good trailer, and I'm not changing the subject. The 28 Years Later trailer was phenomenal.
I don't remember, but I'll look it up.
Trailers can hit a level of art where it's an art form unto itself. Like it doesn't even matter that it's selling something. It's just a beautifully
well,
done
there's
piece of material.
what's crazy. I heard the story about that. For the trailer, that weird voiceover thing that you hear is this weird military poem that was created to psychologically impact the soldiers who were reciting it. This is like during like World War I or II. Which is why it's not this made up old timey sound. This is like a real actual thing. There's a really interesting story behind. I'm terrible at telling stories verbally, but it sounds like some sort of weird 1984 Blade Runner test. Like you're going crazy listening to it. It was designed to do that. And it's just so impactful the way that they put that together. So yeah, that looks really cool. But yeah, the Superman.
Well, great.
It hit all the right chords, man. I was like, oh, this feels like Superman. This looks like Superman. I don't even like that kind of dog, and the dog made me excited.
As a former Superman author, I can tell you that writing and creating around Superman is a very unique, joyful experience. It literally is a healing experience. I got to write Superman from the worst day of my life all the way through to the pandemic. And literally, I would remember during the darkest days of the pandemic, my job was I have to sit there and think about like, what would the best guy think? Which is not how we were all thinking all the time during the pandemic. It was hard to get there. So the fact that I was literally forced to get into the most hopeful place so I could do the job tasked of me was.
I remember you talking about that during those times because there was all this kind of stuff, both personal and in the world that was going on. Yeah, and it wasn't just blind aspirational stuff.
No.
Oh, Superman's just. Happy, good times. It wasn't that. It was like, what is the best thought to have about this situation?
What would the best guy think right now? And remember that Mammoth movie with Gene Hackman called Heist? And it's in the trailer, and he goes, "How did you come up with that brilliant heist?" And he goes, "Well, I thought, what would a smart person do when I did that?" And it's like that's kind of like what I think a lot of people love that line is that is a writer's job. Really, it's like you have to think like, what would the most evil person think? What would the most heroic person think? You're always thinking about what that person would do, and to be in the mindset of what Superman would think was a great place to be. And I always like wish it for every creator. I posted this online. Like anyone who's dreaming about writing Superman, man, I hope you get to do it because it's way better than you think it's going to be, even if you think the best thoughts. And I don't know, it was not to make too much of it, but it was really amazing for me and healing. And so when other people talk about Superman in any kind of derogatory fashion, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's like you see people like huffing and puffing about like Superman's boring or something. Like I literally have no idea what you're talking about. It could not be more interesting. And hey, everyone's hopping on. Thanks for hopping on, everybody. It's very
Kari said it was nice of you to.
Where I'm looking at private chat and not at the comments. Oh, there's everybody. Hi, everybody. It's very cool to see, including people from our Jinx world, which I'm very happy to see them. I invited them. This is in lieu of our class this week, so I'm very happy that they're joining.
Oh, geez. Anyway. I'll give you the link if you want to like include it in your Discord or whatever.
Oh, I know I did. I sent it to the Discord. Okay. I sent everybody everywhere. So it's
wonderful
nice to see everybody. But this feeling I had with Superman that it carried with me, and I tried to give out in my work, having to see the trailer give that feeling to people immediately, and sometimes in a moment, almost like an adrenaline shot of hope, is a beautiful feeling. I really excited. I hope the movie can deliver that. It's almost an impossible thing to ask a movie to do, but I hope it's able to do that. It's
so strange too, because like the first two films just laid it out so clearly. The Reeve films, and it just made
the Donner Reeve films, sure.
Yeah, and it's like you don't repeat the plots, but like there's such a clear feeling that was timeless in there. An authenticity. Well, I think it was like Penn Teller or something was saying he figured out that like Christopher Reeve was the world's greatest actor because he could wear that suit and say he believed in truth, justice, and the American way, and like it wasn't terrible, and you believed him. And he was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the greatest actor there ever was." And I
Well-
remember hearing that. I was like, "Yeah, you can't. Who can pull that off?"
I like that your cat is mooning you as you're saying.
Exactly.
They're going to be attacking me because they're not free fed.
Whenever I talk to Mike and talk, that is the best thing, that the cat just walks across camera and stuff. I got no problem with that. It's fantastic.
Is the amazing Taki Soma right off camera?
Yeah, she is. She's over
Hi,
there killing
Taki.
zombies and
Hi,
stuff.
Taki.
What are you playing? What is she playing?
I'm not.
Oh, she's just killing real zombies?
She's
Okay.
like she's in deep concentration right
That's
now.
cool. That's cool. You can hang out. You can lifeguard.
Just
The
I'm
most-
over here just
It's okay.
like ruling a world, and I'm on top of it. Okay.
God
Atta
bless.
girl. Get him.
Rosie.
Get him.
I will
Hold
say,
on,
but even
William,
you mentioning,
Go. I want to say real fast a couple
Yeah.
comments from the chat. William Breton getting Gardner on screen is more than enough for me. And Timur says the fact that Nathan Fillion looks like a Kevin Maguire drawing of Guy Gardner with the bowl cut makes me extremely happy. And I agree with all that.
both
Right.
Mike and I are friends with Kevin. We've worked with Kevin, and Kevin has been waiting his whole life for these moments to happen. He could not be a bigger film buff. He could not be a bigger one of us geeks who just loves it all. He sees every movie opening night.
Yeah.
For those who follow him on Twitter, you'll see he is all in all the time. And I like, as soon as he was on the set of Superman, I was like, oh, good. Oh, I want him to have all these experiences. He so deserved them, because really, Kevin, like for me, and it's like hard for me to describe to him now that we're pals, but like he was doing something in comics that was such a leap for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at the acting. Look how
Yes.
human they are, and not
Yes.
like human like shadows, and like really like there's something really like they're living and breathing characters, and not every comic artist, and some brilliant ones, can do that special thing where like Guy Gardner's a real person because Kevin said he is. Right? Yeah, it's an
Drew him
incredible
that
thing.
way. Yeah.
When I was coming up in Jersey, and I was just a kid, and I was friends with Adam Hughes, and he was just getting jobs and just starting out. And before he even got onto Justice League, I remember him like showing me, like he was like a good mentor, and he's always showing me why something worked, right? And he was showing me, this Kevin Maguire stuff, and he's like, look at these faces, look at the acting, it's like if Norman Rockwell did comics, his ability to express a face with a gesture and stuff, and he was doing facial expressions that just weren't done in comics.
The guy that never gets credit for that.
Still doing them, by the way. Still.
Yeah. The guy the guy that never got credit for it until somebody put up a page of all these different Superman emotional reactions was Kurt Swan. And because I've heard so many podcasters be, Kurt Swan, he was so ordinary. And it's like, man, you missed the point so dramatically, because he made it look effortless and everything. Yeah. And that was his superpower.
One of those names, and there's a few of them that, like, as a young person, you may not see the exceptionalism that's going on here. It's like, it's not, you can't over the Flash. Like, I grew up with John Byrne's Superman. So Kurt, I didn't get Kurt right away. And then like Alan Moore and Kurt did the
whatever happened
Superman story.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're going, like I had a whole, like everything turned for me. Like, and even going back to the stuff like he wrote himself, and it just was really like, oh, now I get it. Sometimes you just have to age into appreciating what some of the older creators are doing.
That was me with Frank Robbins on Invaders.
Yeah.
And Bradstreet and I used to talk about it, and I'm like, this is ugly, but I can't take my eyes off of it.
Yep.
And then I saw his Johnny Hazard comic strip, and it's like, all right, never mind, genius. Absolutely amazing.
Buscema and Kirby took me into my adulthood, my later teens, to really appreciate it.
Sure.
Kirby's a great one.
You just want poses and cool stuff standing there and stuff, you can't see why the normality of Kurt Swan's faces is so special, because he could draw people smiling.
Well,
most people can't unless they're like.
Yeah, getting back to Kevin though, so every time someone wants to work with Kevin or Kevin's up for a gig, it's always about like how many gags and stuff can we throw at Kevin, because Kevin's going to deliver them at the highest level. And towards the end of my Superman run, we had a moment to have Kevin come in for a couple of issues, and I said, "Hey, like what, like I'm always saying, but like, what would you like?"
What do you want to draw?
Like he already did his chapter of Man of Steel with me, which made me feel like he'd already done me the favor of doing what I wanted or out of our collaboration. But like, please, what would you like? And he literally said, "Hey, just a real Superman story, no jokes. It's like really, like real earnest Superman. I really want. No one lets me do that." And so we did that, and of course he made it hilarious and lively as hell. And you know, it's the Dr. Fate Superman two-parter. It's one of my favorite parts of the thing.
Yeah, I don't think that before Kevin McGuire, anybody did a face shrug before. You know,
Or one of these. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like seeing with someone nose scrunched.
Well, all the guys.
My face with this weird filter going on here. I'm really looking to see if there's filter.
I don't know what to tell you, Brad. It's not on my end. I don't know, man.
One of my children put this on some beauty setting that I am not. I have not earned and do not.
I was gonna say, at least you don't have a pig nose or a clown. You know,
just
clown nose or something.
Angelic.
That's blurry. Anyway,
and I mean, you know, I got it. I although I hear people saying, and I kind of understand that they think Crypto in the trailer looks CGI. I love that it's a little dog. I really do love that it's a tiny dog, and I loved the idea of this tiny dog dragging him to safety. It's like, yes, because I mean, you love the classic. I don't even know what make. I don't even know what breed of a dog it is.
Yeah,
the original design of Crypto.
That's not my favorite kind of dogs. I don't like furry, fluffy hair dogs, right? But this dog won me over. It's got personality.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I did like memes about cats. Also, like if he was calling a cat, then he would just be dead in the next shot because the cat would never come. He's just whistling for his cat, and the cat's just going to stare at him.
I was, even though we've never met, I was very much behind the scenes when Guardians was being put together, the first Guardians, which was not the slam dunk home run it turned into. It could have gone either way. It could have been, oh, there's where Marvel overstepped. You know, it's the Raccoon and Tree movie. It could have not done well, right? And but seeing it come together and the personality and what was going on there. Certainly, I got him on loan from Tim Dennis. It's very funny. That's
absolutely.
Nice. I've not heard that joke before. That's very.
He does kind of look like Ten's dog. Absolutely, that's awesome.
That's great. But anyway, having watched the process of this happen with Rocket Raccoon and everyone second guessing and doubting and worrying and oh my god, and now it's like. Nobody questions the legacy of Rocket Raccoon, the cinematic legacy. So I'm never let the movie happen, and if it works, it'll work, and if it doesn't, it won't. And we've had both happen to us, but I think he certainly earned the right to give us his Crypto.
You know, there's and I'm not going to name the channel, but I've been talking about it lately on my show. That really took Gunn to task of the first minute of Creature Commandos because they have these man on the street news reactions and it's so woke, and it's like well, that might have been the first 30 seconds of the 4 episodes of Creature Commandos I've seen. This is not a woke show. James Gunn gets it, much like Feige at Marvel, and certainly when James was there at Marvel.
Gunn's
gets it.
Yeah, what was it that the HBO show
Peacemaker?
Oh my god! I mean,
yes.
That show.
Yes.
Was,
so go beyond
some
that.
Of the heroes were racist. Some of the main characters were racist.
He also wrote the evil Superman movie with Elizabeth Banks. He's already written a very dark Superman.
Before Elliot Page was Elliot Page, when he was Ellen, Super, right? Are you talking about Super or no?
The Super, but there's another one. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Someone's going to come up with it real fast here because it wasn't a long time ago. It was within the realm of Guardians. He put out a horror movie where the kid is clearly the Superman story. What if the kid found the wrong?
Oh yeah, Brightburn, of course. Thank you.
Brightburn.
Brightburn's amazing. Brightburn. Dark, what if baby Kal-El grew up to be evil? Absolutely, man. Everyone's chiming in now with Brightburn. Hey, Matt Singer's watching. How you doing,
one of my favorite writers, Matt Singer's here, and he says he saw the trailer yesterday and asked my daughter if she wanted for Superman, and she said yes for Crypto. That's it. End of story.
Yeah. No, and I mean that's a toy waiting to happen. Good for them.
Hey nerds, you know what a great last minute Christmas gift would be is Matt Singer's book on Siskel and Ebert. It's one of my favorite books, maybe of ever time. And
Opposable thumbs, everybody. Yes,
if you,
indeed.
if you got a film nerd in your house, I don't think there's a better present you can get him.
Well, and forgive me for tooting my horn, but as someone who knew both men, it's an excellent.
Oh, yeah, Chicago man of a certain age.
Well, we're not New York, we're not LA, but we got our celebrities, and they're certainly there.
Sure.
But yeah, no, they both guys were just good guys. And no, the personal stories about the making of that show, because while they respected each other, they weren't above screwing each other on silly little things, and that's fantastic. But by the same token, and it's my favorite story about Siskel, when there was a change in editorial, and they really demoted him for no reason whatsoever, and only had him doing features, and they stopped making him the weekly film critic. Ebert went out of his way to go to his newspaper, the Sun-Times, and say, you really want to do a power move? Have both of us here. And he was sincere. And he's like, think of the circulation. That's going to be something, because that show was a big deal well before it was a national show here in Chicago. It was a public television show, and everybody watched it because it was this earnest appraisal of movies. And yeah, no, it's a great book. Opposable Thumbs, Matt Singer, fantastic book. We did a word balloon for it, and absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's right. And you read it, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So those Chicago chapters must have really hung tight for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, and it's and everything. I mean, the show started on public television, then it went to Tribune Media, then it went to Buena Vista, the division of Disney, and man, and again, I hate to crap on media companies, not really. I'll be happy to crap on media companies, but really, it's like you don't know what you have, man. And Tribune tried to play tough with them, and they went to Buena Vista, and it's like, okay, big mistake, boys and girls, but whatever works for you. Let's see here. Dave Schweitzer just finished Opposable Thumbs this week. Lovely book. Yeah. Hey, Brian held up a fantastic book, and I didn't realize it was dictionary sized.
Oh,
yeah, damn, man.
Oh my god.
Just came in yesterday.
The DC style guide.
Fraction and I decided that 90% of the sales of this book were comic book creators, but this is the DC Comics style guide. This is real inside baseball stuff, but many years ago, this was a folder that creators would go way before my time, way before my time.
When we were in school, we were still in school.
A folder that creators would get to stay on style. Now I'll show you, because so much of it is just a tribute to Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and his amazing. I mean, it's a lot of it's him, a lot of it's Gil Kane, and a lot of it is Perez. But you got a lot of Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Oh, because I thought it was just him. That's great to hear that it's these other guys.
No, there's it's a lot, but then we cut back to towards the end here. There's a lot of Perez. Once the Teen Titans kick in. No, this isn't him. Hold on. I'll find it. There you go. Yeah, Perez kicks in with the Titans stuff.
Oh yeah.
So this was solicited years ago. I literally think I ordered this in the pandemic.
I think you're right.
When I was working at DC, and it just showed up. So I'm
outstanding.
It's an outstanding art book. And I'm very happy to exist. I thought it took so long to come out. I thought sometimes you hear these things and they just don't come out. But
sure,
like that. What else I got? I bought all kinds of cool stuff to celebrate today. The other one I wanted to show you was this.
Oh my, really artist edition.
Well, no, this is part of I'm plugging my publisher here, but our publisher
Abrams
this is from Dark Horse. They're doing a line. They're doing their own line. I forget what the line is called, but I contributed some text to this. But it's a kind of an artist edition of John Romita Sr.
Wow.
And for those who don't know,
can I have that?
It's John's. I gave my other copy
That's
to Matt.
not
Sorry. But it's a beautifully well done thing. It was one of those things they go, hey, do you want to write some text for this? And I just love John Romita so much. I just said yes. And then they send the PDF and it looks cool. But when you see it printed, it's so much better. It's just beautiful. So
that's awesome.
This was a nice one.
I was going to ask you guys, because Brian asked me in a text what my first comic was. And I think my very first comic, because I had hand-me-downs from older cousins and things like Archie and Mad, and a little bit of DC. Not much Marvel though. And the first thing was I was in the Wisconsin Dells on a summer vacation car trip, and we're in a gift shop, and that Treasury Edition size Shazam with the white cover was on the book stand, and it was only $1. And literally, my dad's like, "Hey, that's Captain Marvel. I used to read Captain Marvel. Do you want this?" And I was 7 years old, and I'm just like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
please."
yes, please, yeah.
And it was great. And we took it back to the hotel, and we're pouring through it. And he's over my shoulder. He's like, "There's Dr. Savannah. Oh my God, there's the Marvel film." And look at it. He goes, "Isn't that interesting? The way Captain Marvel Jr. is drawn differently." I'm like, this is why I love my father, man. I mean,
Awesome.
it was one of the most in-depth conversations of comics between me and him. And I'm
Just
7 years
rub in
old.
your face that you had a father. Yeah.
Oh,
good
God,
for
Mike,
you.
Mike.
I had a father.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Me and Mike are just writing superheroes our whole lives.
Oh,
trying to
all
create
right.
a
I'm
father
sorry,
figure.
boys.
Looking for our father in every page.
He died young. He died young. He died before I was 20. So
Okay.
there's a little sadness, but
All right.
everything's fine. Everybody, it's okay. Literally, it was 42 years ago. Everything's
We're
fine. Everything's fine.
Well, yeah, just so you know, Mike, I brought up to John is that our friend Ben Saunders, if you remember Professor Ben Saunders from the
Absolutely.
University of Oregon, he and I are always cooking together, and we have a project that we're working on called First Comic, Last Comic, and we want to like get everyone to like talk about like that comic that turned them into that's it. I'm a comic book person. And the last comic that also made them feel that way, not the last comic they'll ever read, but it's kind of based on like, Stan Lee's famous quote about, as a creator, every comic is someone's first or last, and it's basically your fault. Like if it's the first and now they're all in, you did a good job. If it's the last comic they ever read because it's something you wrote, that's your fault. So this idea of how, it's a way to like kind of like bring everyone's like experiences together and share them as well. And we were trying to think about what those were. Can you remember like the first comic? Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there were some comics I'd read before this one that made me interested, some Spider-Man stuff, but it was X-Men Annual 9. It was the Art Adams Asgard X-Men thing. It was unlike anything else I had seen. Up to that point, I was really liking comics and tracing stuff, but that was it. It was like a bolt of lightning. And it mixed a bunch of stuff together for me as well, because there was mythology stuff in there on top of Art Adams' art. And for years, I just wanted to be Art Adams. And what's ironic is Mike Mignola helped ink some of it. And then for years after that, I just wanted to be Mike Mignola. So it's got everything in one thing. And sort of the opposite side of that, your last book, that really solidified things, would have been Mignola's Hellboy. By the time Hellboy came out, like a bunch of us were scrambling around thinking about what we're doing in comics. Most of us were trying to do, by us, I mean, there was like me, Adam Hughes, and there was like through him, this extension of the Gaijin Studios guys and stuff. And we were just trying, you think you're going to work for Image and Marvel and DC and stuff. And of course there was some creator-owned stuff around, but it didn't seem viable. And then, when Hellboy came out, that was kind of it. It was like, we should just create our own stuff, right? Like, and we didn't even know what creator-owned comics were. It was just, and they all had this line of stuff. So it started with Art Adams and Mignola at the beginning, and both of them are friends now, which is weird. But like those two books for sure are, and there's just not a lot in my life that I can point to like that to say that these things hit me like lightning bolts, or these are like landmarks in my life. But those things are for sure.
What about you guys? What about you, Brad?
Think of a recent comic that also made you feel this way, like something new, something from this part of your life?
Ram V's Many Deaths of Layla Starr.
Fantastic.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's
great.
Just, him and the artist, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the artist name. I'm terrible.
I can't remember her name either.
Things.
Again, chat, help us out.
Thank you. The two of them just did new stuff, just stuff I hadn't seen before in a comic.
I keep saying that about Ram. Ram's amazing, and I'm psyched for his new gods. But These Savage Shores, his vampire story.
I have that. I haven't read it yet.
And turning around the usual thing of, and especially, the white savior idea of coming to the third world, and whatever with the natives, And this is absolutely the people of Mumbai going, hey, F you, a vampire. You don't know what you just walked into. And it's a brilliant story. And I love that circumvention of old tropes. And I feel that way.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Zub's doing it with Conan and the Robert Howard universe. And they're good ideas, but Robert Howard was a product of his time.
Sure.
And not the most worldly man. And I'm Sailor Costigan. I love that character. Merchant Marine boxer that's going from country to country, port to port, and short stories mostly, but every now and then somebody would write a comic of him. And they're kind of racist. It's like, all right, here's the big goon that happens to be of a different color and is probably mute, and you got to fight him and stuff. And it's like, man, there's an opportunity.
It's always fascinating. And even tropes, tropes are like, people want them for a reason, right? But the thing is, you find something new and fresh to say with them, and when you can, it's pretty magical. Give people what they want and expect, but in a different package. It's not easy to do, and it's brilliant when it does.
Thank you, Henry.
Thanks, Henry. Hey, Henry.
The name of the artist.
Felipe Andrade did Layla Starr with.
I couldn't even figure out how he was drawing the pages, and like there's just a subtext to the way he drew characters. It just danced with what Ram was writing, And I've seen crazier stuff, wilder layouts and all that kind of stuff. It was just so specific. I remember just looking at this like, I'll never be able to do this. How
about and I can't think of who her artist is, but Kelly Thompson on Birds of Prey lately. Holy fuck!
Yeah, no, Kelly's great.
Yeah,
fuck, who's the artist? God damn.
Again, chat, he'll help us. God bless you, people. I mean, you'll forgive me, but I want to.
No, I love Kelly's great. I love Kelly. I brag all the time. I handpicked Kelly to take over Jessica when I left Marvel. I just thought,
sure,
that's the person. So,
Henry says Powers is what made me want to pelt with Image. I assume something else. I don't know.
Who are you pelting an Image?
Don't exactly. I'm confused by that, Henry. But all right, I think we mean it in a positive way.
He's a great comic creator too.
Thank you, Henry. And it's the best thing to hear when
your book,
comic that
Henry.
People like that.
He was just on a week or so ago, and we were talking about his Miss Fury Green Hornet crossover that's coming up that he wrote with Alex Segura, and
Henry, what did you mean by pelts?
Yeah, really. And he did the Zoot Suit murders of the 40s.
Okay.
Yeah, he made me want to publish with Image. All right, there you go.
A man of my spelling technique. Thank you, Henry. I've sent many people notes with words that people go,
Henry
is one of something, but I can't even from context clues.
And Henry is one of many people. I love seeing somebody who's like interested in doing comics and kind of have their first thing, and then you just see them build and build and build on top of that.
Favorite.
Henry's one of those dudes. It's such a pleasure to see people like not just get into comics but really grow.
Absolutely.
I posted on Blue Sky, but this week. The reason we can talk, I have some free time, is that it's the end of the semester. I teach at Portland State. I teach comics writing, and at the end of the semester, every kid, every student, none of them are kids. Every student has to make a comic book, a full comic book. And for a lot of them,
how many pages, Brian, for the comic?
20 to 22 pages, 25 tops, but like a real comic book.
Yeah. That's why I wondered. Okay.
You don't get judged if people want to do this for themselves over the vacation. I highly recommend it. You're writing and drawing it. You're not being graded for your drawing. You're only being graded for your clarity of your story. Lettering more important than art. Stick figures, not only accepted but celebrated. Some of the greatest comics you can make are stick figure comics, the most emotional. And so I just this weekend read like dozens of excellent new comics from new creators that no one's ever seen before, and particularly this semester was excellent. Like they were really great, and it just makes you feel like you're reading people's like the beginning of their journey, and it's already good.
Yeah.
Right. And also you're getting what I was curious about, and I'm getting a sense of, is that there's certainly an elevated sense of storytelling technique with a lot of these students of mine. And these are students who have literally grown up with Raina and Captain Underpants. And yes, the superheroes are out there, but it's very clear that manga and Raina are the driving force between the creative impulses of the people who are coming to my class. And we talk about it endlessly. I love it to death. But what's come is oh, there's an elevated sense of what this page can do. Like I actually had to recalibrate my class a couple of times. Like, oh, so you guys know this, like you guys know this part already, and this was something I would have years past have to spend a lot of time on, like just panel construction and things like that, where like they don't know anything, but they do. They know it. Some of them grew up working on how to make a comic from Captain Underpants or how to make my own drama smile from Raina, and then you get these comics that are already elevated past where you think they would be, and I just get excited about what the future is going to be. I'm just very, very excited about it.
Kari wants to know 200 words per page standard. I love that you said lettering. I'm a lettering freak.
I don't give. I know I'm very. This is funny because some of my friends are really about like there's a limit of how many words can be on the pages. As
Yes.
I made it very clear, I don't subscribe to that philosophy. But I do like every page, every scene, every character needs its own tools to express themselves. So if one character is more verbose than the other, and that's how many words it takes, fine. I don't get too bogged down in how many panels and how many words and how many. It's just as long as it all fits and it flows and it creates the feeling that you want it to feel like, that's what you go for. But you can hand letter or letter on Clip Studio with some patience. Anyone can do it. I'm not saying it's not an art form, but to really like get it so you can make your stuff read, you can do this. Like anyone can do it. I even highly recommend hand lettering just to get a sense. And for those of you who just want to be a writer and you're saying, well, why would I make a whole comic? Why would I put myself through this? You learn from practice exactly what you're asking for, not in theory, but if you want to collaborate with artists and writers of other, sensibilities, the best way to get a sense of what you're asking to do is to figure out how to do it yourself. And not unlike like when some of our greatest directors also happen to be phenomenal actors because they studied acting. Like Sidney Pollack was one of our best actors, and he only learned it so he could talk to Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep. Like he's like, I need to speak at their level. Scorsese, the same thing. Oh, I better learn how to act because I'm talking to De Niro, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they're great actors. I take that to heart. I want to talk to my letterer. If my letterer knows I can letter, I could feel, and again, some of this I found out by accident. Like when I came to Marvel, I was being treated with more respect than I expected. Not that I heard that they were going to disrespect me, but there was a level of respect. And one of the editors said, well, you can do all of this. And I went, oh, thanks, man. I'm like, oh,
Cool.
Yeah, you're right. I've been spending the 90s doing all of it.
Yeah.
So when I came here and I was only supposed to write, but I can talk to everybody with at least some sort of, I know what I'm asking about. So I say that to any creator. If you want to be an artist, do some writing. If you want to be a writer, do some artwork. If you want to be a colorist, do some drawing. Like do all the other parts so you have a better sense of what you're asking for in your collaboration. And you may find you love some of these other trades in our field that you may not have thought you would be good at or like to do. Some people love to color, love to letter, just want to sit there quietly and just letter, just loves it. Other people hate it. They never want to do whatever in their whole lives. So trying these things out are very helpful. Oh, here we go.
Tierlock says, hey, just throwing this out there, but Brian, your run on Ultimate Spider-Man back in the day taught me how to manage story and character arcs. Just wanted to share that appreciation, man.
I appreciate that appreciation. That's very sweet. Thank you. It's some of those were big swings trying to figure out how much character an issue can handle. How, like some of them are literally like one act, one scene plays, and it was kind of like what I wanted to write, but also, will the audience put up with this? Will they dig it? I don't know. Let's find out. I just read, really liked Kieran Gillen's got a new book called Power Fantasy out right now, and like the first issue is almost like a one act play.
Nice.
And I was really vibing it, and I went, oh yeah, and then I got to like page 20, going, oh yeah, this is totally my vibe. I love this. So
interesting.
I highly recommend it.
Charlie Lewis wants to know if we've seen the YouTube video from Jeff Smith and Bone about the comic book market versus graphic novels. I have
no.
not.
What did he say? What's the headline?
Yeah,
graphic novels are good and comics are bad.
Give us a summary. Absolutely, man. I finally moderated a panel last year with Jeff on, and he had amazing stories, and I really want to get him on solo to talk more. I have so much respect for him. And I was going to ask you guys both, because Powers really represented Image 2.0. You know, you had the original guys back in the early 90s and the getting up from Marvel and doing their own thing. But then you guys came along, and really Powers is among those books, and Kirkman and everybody. Well, now with not only Kickstarter, but Substack and some of these other platforms that have afforded people to make their own books in ways.
Webtoons is the biggest one.
And certainly Webtoons, yeah. And those avenues were not, they weren't as widely, you know, I mean, you could put up your webcomic and stuff, but not with the penetration that like Webtoons has. And
yeah, I mean, Tumblr was all the rage back in the day. Yeah. There's always been a place to drop your stuff, for sure.
Yeah, but what do you
more organized?
Yeah, I mean, it's great, and I don't know.
Digital webbing.
What's that?
Digital webbing. That was the place people could.
Yes. Okay.
That very green website, digital webbing.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you think of now? How about now?
You know, I love it. And I am, as you well know, I'm a big fan of just go make your book. Go do it. No one's standing in your way. No one's saying no to you. In fact, there's a lot of things in life that are standing in your way, but you're not one of them. So go make it if you want to be a comic creator or a musician or a filmmaker, anything that you want to do, just have to decide, I'm now going to dedicate my life to being that. Both Mike and I had day jobs while we were figuring out, and the day job was all to facilitate our art so we could spend as much time on our art as possible. Like I would get a good paying caricature artist gig so I can then spend time just working on my comics, right?
Sure.
And so whatever.
So I worked security because I knew I would be sitting there. Yeah, I could draw. I'm sitting there watching cars or whatever it was.
I drew my first comic books at the counter of the comic book store I was working at instead of cleaning and organizing. And
all these platforms and stuff now, it's like it's all these various ways to get your work out there. The gatekeepers are basically gone. You know, you don't need anybody's permission to do whatever you want. It is weirdly, there was this funneling with the gatekeeping where there were like these really clear paths to get to where you want to go.
Sure.
Now it's just this kind of wide open field, and there isn't any particular direction, which can also be confusing for people or intimidating. You know, it's easy to say, "I'll go do a Kickstarter," but if you don't have like an audience already built, well, then you have to figure out how to build one by know building something up on social media or finding some consistent way that people can find you and stuff. But it's great. I love it. I feel free to be able to do pretty much anything at this point. I don't have to worry about what is the audience. You know, the audience is me. It's the stuff that I want to make. You know.
Also, John, just so I know this is anecdotal, but like my last 2 semesters at school, none of the students are that interested in traditional publishing venues.
Interesting.
Like, they read them, they love them, but they are much more, I'll just find a space and make it my own, or I will find a space and enter it, right? I'm not like Webtoons is much more appealing to an up and comer than let's say Image at the moment. But again, they would all, have a heart attack if Image called it a simple publisher thing. But they see these open venues as, I can. And I will say, if I was just starting, I would be all over these platforms. I would just be like,
I'm so blown away by like Iron Circus and Spike Troutman, who was just couldn't get in, so she just did it herself, built a freaking empire. There's a couple others that I'm seeing now doing the same thing. These Comic Uno is a girl that I follow. Her projects are always amazing and doing well, and she just like this isn't going to be published by any of the major publishers, and just figured out how to do it on her own. And it's a lot of work, and I'm really impressed.
Isn't that far from how you and I ended up at we found a company, Caliber, that would just was not indie enough and not mainstream enough, and we're just perfect for.
They're like, we won't pay you, but we'll publish it. All right.
Yeah, but at least you got the work out there, guys.
Staples in it, but
you could make money, but there wasn't page rates involved and stuff. So it was like it was a leap of faith for sure.
I hope those Caliber books, because I discovered your guys' Caliber books after Powers, and would go up to your tables and grab stuff and everything. And I know, Brian, that's how I got Jinx and Goldfish and Fire, for example.
Yeah.
You know, so I certainly hope on the back end, and certainly the other. I mean, I used to say this to Remender when he was just breaking in to Marvel, and I'm like, now you can sell Nightmare and all of his great stuff that he did, his indie stuff, before his name really got going. And you know, God, much like James Tynion and some of the others that have left the big two, you know, Rick's off doing his own thing and, you know, making great comics and stuff. And I honestly, I it's as an observer for, I mean, well, I started reading again because of guys like you. I mean, really, Powers was one of my first books
I
back.
appreciate that.
And absolutely. And all the shit that was happening at Marvel, I'm like, oh no, Daredevil's good again. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Hey, Spider-Man's good too. This Ultimate's okay, whatever. And Brubaker and Rucka at DC was the same thing. But yeah, then I'm like, all right, well, let me read what they were doing before they were doing these mainline books and stuff. And yeah, I just kind of started grabbing Greg's novels. I got that great graphic novel that Brew and Mike Lark made, The Public Eye or whatever, was about the
Yeah, I love that book. I think my quote on that book, I on the cover, it says me saying, "Oh my God, I wish I thought of this." It's such a good idea.
Or when Winnick was doing
Scene of a Crime is
oh, that's right. Thank you, man. Yes. And when Winnick was doing like his caper or whatever the hell it was called and everything, and it's like, oh my God, this is great, man. And so that's what brought me back. But I did. It made me want to go back and read your guys' older stuff. So.
All right, Charlie, keep it quiet with Quivers over there. Anyway, so he's bringing up
Charlie also, he did say that the Jeff Smith doc is more about kids seeing the Captain Underpants comics and not Superman. So yeah, we 2 years ago, C2E2, I was going to do a panel with a bunch of writers. And like, well, of course we're going to talk about Dogman. Had no idea what Dogman was 2 years ago. And it's like, oh, it's this, comic within a comic. And I'm like,
that documentary, and like the gist of it was how, mainstream comic superhero stuff is impenetrable.
Yeah.
Where do you start? You could pick up any Raina book, you could pick up Bone, you could pick up any of these graphic novels, and you just get right into the world, even if there's a whole bunch of stuff behind it, right? Unfortunately, it's just not like that with comics, with all of our, and that's the nature of the thing. So I'm not being critical, right? This is the thing. But that is a problem, So and that's why the graphic novels and manga and stuff like that have this sort of advantage to it. There's a few other comics that are like that. I mean, Usagi Yojimbo, you can read it from the beginning to the end. There's like a billion copies of it and stuff, but it's not a complicated world, or complicated publishing.
Why is that book on your mind right now, Mike? I wonder why. Anyway, hey, I see that Eisner Award-winning Shelley Bond has joined the chat.
Hey,
Shelley, did you edit Scene of the Crime? Was that a Shelley book? And I
bet with the heart it probably was. I hope it was.
Editor of our dear friend David Walker's Bitter Root and many
yes,
other
indeed,
things.
Coming back in 2025. Bitter Root. Sanford and David and Charlie are very excited about it coming back.
Shelley
Absolutely.
also has an amazing array of Kickstarters and fundraising books.
And Shelley did indeed.
That's a home run job at Shelley. And also our friend David Walker has this excellent book, Big Jim and the White Boy. Boy, this is like the fourth outstanding A+ book David has delivered in a calendar year. It's really something. In fact, he just sent us his new book. Did you finish it, Mike? The latest one?
Oh, the Bobby Hart stuff.
It's so good. He sent another home run coming from our friend David. And I'm not just saying this because he's our pal. It's really exciting to see your pal roll up their sleeves and just belt one out of the park.
And Big Jim was amazing because it's like, of course, I knew it was going to be well written and stuff, right? I know David, it's going to be great. But like, he really did some impossible stuff in there where he layered. There are like 3 different points of view going on in the story, like in different time periods with a different perspective, and they're all telling the same choice. And I don't mean like in a Pulp Fiction-y kind of way. There's like a sort of a modern piece. There's a piece that happens in between, and there's the Big Jim stuff. And like, he did a really complicated, difficult thing where there were like, of course, there's stories and there's characters and character arcs and narrative. There's also like history in there, but yet none of it feels like an after school special. None of it feels like, here's your moment to listen to, this history piece or something. Like, it's also woven well together with an intention that, he'll never appreciate. David will never appreciate how great it is. I was impressed on more levels than just he wrote a great story. This was something else. This is special, man.
Zooming in.
It's just a great book, and
Kwame's art is amazing. Yeah, he's a great artist.
Okay,
He's worked
so
with
really-
twice now with two very different styles in Black Panther, and the cartoonishness of this was just incredible.
So just before we hopped on, we were talking about internet nonsense and how hard it is for us to navigate. And so just a few weeks ago, believe it or not, even though it feels like to me 3 years ago, I was in Miami with David Walker at the Miami Book Fair, describing this new world we live in, where there's a Miami Book Fair. It's the biggest book fair, and there's so many graphic novels and comics being represented by sources beyond anything we're discussing here as well. And I met his partner, Marcus, and Marcus and I started following each other online, and then immediately I started getting a text from him about his cryptocurrency that he's building, and I went, "Oh no, Marcus, I love you so much. Please don't. Oh man!" And then it was the next day. It was someone hacked me. I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
Oh, good. Jesus.
I was gonna say,
that sucks.
I don't know that guy that well, but I don't think that's.
Yeah, that person and the Haktui girl are doing their own crypto.
No, it was like like you meet people, and you've had this happen to you, John, a million times. Where you meet someone, you like them, and you you're like, oh boy, I hope, and they go, hey, let me send you my book, and my man, I hope I like your book. I like you so much.
Right. Even when Fraction, I'm talking to Kelly Sue, and she's like, well, Fraction's doing that Godzilla TV show, and I got to be honest, man. I am not about the legendary Godzilla movies. In fact, when I stayed with Brian, Pacific Rim 2 was on TV, Brian. We're watching it in your office. And I want to talk to you. And you're like, you don't want to watch the movie? I'm like, Brian, I saw the movie. I want to talk to you. I'm like, please. But, and so, I'm happy for Matt that he was doing this show for Apple and everything. But I'm like, I know I'm going to have to talk to him about it. And I'm sure he'll make time for me because we're friends. But I'm like, God, I hope I like it. God, I hope I like it. And it was excellent. And I'm like, oh, man, thank God. I am so relieved. This was really good because it focused on the people. And
also, in that regard, like Matt could work his ass off and the show still not come together as you hope. It's there's literally hundreds of people collaborating on it and a studio paying for it. There's anything could happen. But
Billy Friedkin, man, a thousand things need to go right to have a good movie.
What a miracle is like me and Mike were at dinners with him where he was literally pitching the earliest stages of this time jumping 3-generational thing. And I'm like, wow, I hope they go for it. And then the best version of it shows up.
Yes.
Best version of it. Just the best feeling.
Unbelievable.
One of the magic moments of doing this for a living is watching your friend like literally come to dinner and go, like, and Matt did it. Here's a perfect example. Matt came over one day. We were at a picnic with our kids, and he goes, "Sex Criminals," and then said to me and my wife the pitch of Sex Criminals, and we looked at each other like, "Yeah, go for it, sure. What the hell?" Like, yeah. And he did not pitch the magical version of it.
I have never heard Taki laugh out loud reading something before. And years ago, I'm drawing, and she's just laughing like a maniac. Like, what are you reading?
I was howling.
She was howling.
Yeah, it's great.
It was
So
Sex
great.
Criminals.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for Chip. I mean, again, guys, 19 years Word Balloon since May of 2005.
Wow.
20's coming up. And it's been such a
Well,
pleasure.
that would be our 20th anniversary too, right? I was there early goes.
You were in the first year. You were within the first year.
Posted, hey, has it been 15 years for you guys? I go, I think it's been closer to 20.
I think it's longer.
So,
I got to
In the
feed
words
my
of
cats
Rob
before
Reiner.
they eat my face. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem.
Now the cats are bothering
Yeah,
you?
really. All right, now we're talking shit about Mike.
Chat
Absolutely.
room
All right, here
for
we
2
go.
hours, you guys. Yeah, anyway.
Oh, thanks, Shelly. Absolutely. No, she thanks us. Also, Allison Baker of Monkey Brain Comics. Wishing
great.
everybody hello. So she
hello.
texted
It's so
me.
nice to see so many people from the biz hopping
Absolutely.
on saying hi to us. So many of our friends hiding from their families tonight. I'm so glad we could be there for you. That's amazing. All right. Well, I got more stuff to promote. That's stuff that I've read that I've loved.
Yeah, please.
So
Stand by zooming in again.
All right, you're zooming in again. I know.
All right, you're zoomed in.
So this I always get their names wrong because they're so they're not.
the way my brain works.
You get my name wrong, and we've known each other for 19 years, but keep going.
Darcy Van Polgust, Ian Bertram, and Matt Hollingsworth, who I of course know.
Of course, we know Matt.
They have this books now. Little Bird is the first one, but the one out right now is called Precious Metal, and it's hands down the best book I've read by someone who I don't know. And I always have to feel I have to like qualify a compliment because so many of us are out there helping to promote each other's books and meaning to do it. But I don't know any of these people. I just read this book and it blew me away. Precious Metal is probably my book of the year, if you can have such a thing. And I just wanted to, just say so. That, and I have a few more. A Horizon Experiment by the Good Asian Team, and
yes,
boy, geez, I just loved it so much. I just thought it was incredible.
I had Pornsack on to talk about his Horizon Experiment book, and I want to get Vita Ayala, and they're killing it. And also, I want to talk to Vita about the Jessica Jones audio book that she made. And
I've not heard it.
I haven't heard it yet either. I'm going to wait until I book her, and then I'll play it. But I'm
a Vita fan. I didn't know that was happening. What is it?
Oh, it's a Marvel audiobook of Jessica Jones. And I mean, also and I'm blanking now, shame on me. The deepest voice in comics, Ben Percy. Couldn't think of Benjamin's last name. That's the name. Hi, how are you? I mean, my God. I mean, I think I have a deep voice, but my God, it's like he's like 2 floors down. And I love that about Ben. But he wrote a couple of Marvel audios as well. And they're fully dramatized.
That's cool.
And it's like, again, and my buddy Rob Burnett just released, it's called True Noir. And well, I know Brian because he's a Cleveland boy and everything. Although, no, this is Quad Cities. Max Collins, his detective character, Nathan Heller. It's the first Nathan Heller story. And Rob adapted it as an audio drama, a 10-part audio drama. Katie Sackhoff is in it. Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor from Smallville, plays Nathan Heller. Anthony LaPaglia plays Capone. And David Strahan plays Mayor Cermak. It's all about the assassination of Mayor Cermak, Chicago mayor.
He was
at an it's great, man. And you got to buy him. It's like $2.99 an episode, but it's outstanding. It is incredibly good. And it's out, and people should get it. And really, it's funny, the last few word balloons I've been doing, I've been, recommending Christmas gifts. And like, hey, you should buy this and everything. So,
oh yeah, no, I love doing it. I love,
me too.
It's favorite because, like we've all, had someone bring us a book and said, I thought of you and bought this, and it's nothing you would ever buy yourself. And then you read it, and like I've had literally over the course of my life, people do this to me every couple of years. Someone go, I literally bought this for you. I didn't just buy 10 of them and I'm giving them everybody. This made me think of you, and then they're like, oh, I have to read it and find out why. And it's always magical experience. So I love like throwing out stuff. And also see a lot of these books that we're talking about. I mean, a lot of people online are being very cool, but some of these books live in a silo of, so if any of us could help each other get the word out on something that's truly excellent, I highly recommend it. So
Mike, are you a Stooge fan?
The Stooges or Three Stooges?
Stooges, Three Stooges, of course.
Oh, the band, I was thinking.
No, not Iggy. No, I'm talking about the original. No, I'm talking about the OG Stooges. Yeah.
I don't dislike, but no, I'm not a.
No, Brian.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'll tell you, Mike, because this author, speaking of what Brian's talking about, although this was a kind of book I'd want to buy, this author, Bert Kearns, just released a biography of Shemp. Shemp is the fourth Stooge. Okay. But he's the most maligned, and it's a great book that really it's a great biography and really gets into a lot of his film work outside of the Stooges. He's in The Bank Dick with W.C. Fields. He made several Abbott and Costello movies as a side character and had this career well before he took over for Curly in the Stooges and everything. And much like Brian said, I was worried that the word balloon. I mean, I did it for me, like you were saying about, hey man, you got to draw for yourself and everything and make your own stories. And yeah, man, if I'm interested, and I also have enough faith in the core of the word balloon audience that it's like, all right, you've been with me for 19 years, what I like.
Also, there's like a well-told story, right?
Yeah,
and like well, like what I told you, like I don't know too much about the Stooges, but like if there's a documentary about them that's well told, if you can catch you at the beginning, then I'm totally in. Like I'm not a wrestling fan, but I will watch any wrestling documentary. They're always good.
I'm the same way, Mike. I'm so the same way. I mean, I was an '80s wrestling WWF guy, but really all the stuff that Axios and or not
my God,
Vice.
yeah. The only
Vice
one I couldn't watch,
stuff.
we were watching that the Darker Side of the Ring,
Yes,
the television series.
Yes, the series,
and it was just too dark.
but
this
this
Shemp, I was going like, oh no, not this.
This
not
Shemp
again.
book, I wasn't sure what kind of reaction the audience would have, and it's been great. And so many people are like, "Oh, I love the Stooges. This is fantastic." Because even the author is like, "Are we going to connect with your audience?" I'm like, "Absolutely, Bert. Don't worry about it, man.
Also,
Everything's
like
going to be
actors
fun."
and stuff from further back in time. Obviously, some of these people are just an enigma. Like you only know them for their roles, right? And in some cases, not for negative reasons, but it's just better to just leave them as just that.
Mostly it's for the best. Mostly,
and certainly from that area.
The world
especially
doesn't
from
need
that
to know
time
this.
period. Yeah.
No, I
Or
understand,
any time period.
But I do, and again, Brian always teases me about loving old shit and everything as much as I do, but I really think there's a niche within the nerd sphere that wants that mid 20th century information, and alongside the comic talk that I do and the current genre fiction that I cover, both comics, TV, film, everything. I'm like, no, if there's something cool like a documentary or, I would love to do something on UPA, the old 50s animation studio that's where Mr. Magoo was and Gerald McBoing Boing. And, they really were a Disney rival in the 50s because they had this like shocking style. Brian, that Mel Brooks short, The Line, or not The Line, it's The Critic, where he won the Oscar for short subject. And that was a UPA animated thing.
You're not talking about they did an animated version of the 20,000-Year-Old Man.
No, that was TV. This is before.
Okay, but they did that too, though, right?
Everybody look up yes, they did. Well, no, I don't know because I think that was after UPA because that was 70s when they did that. I remember watching that. That's how stupid and Rain Man-y my brain is that I do remember watching that very vividly because it was so funny. But no, The Critic. It's like it's some old man at the theater and going, "What are we watching? Is this foreign? What is this?"
That.
And
I
it's just
you meant the John Lovitz Simpsons thing.
The Critic.
Remember The Critic?
Oh yeah, I love The Critic.
It stinks. Many things from Mike that I want to bring up here. First of all, before we do, I agree with you. What's been fascinating about the last 20 years or so of our pop culture is that the illusion of the monoculture has disappeared. We grew up in what we thought was a monoculture, and it wasn't. It was just what we were being served, but there was all this other stuff we just weren't being served that we feel it was a mono. Like Ghostbusters is part of a monoculture. Everyone gets the reference of Ghostbusters, right? We don't live there anymore, but what we do live, which was deeply interesting to me, and some of this is, it's really raining. No, just like rain started hitting the windows in a way that made me worried it was zombies. I've watched. I'm a little blessed in my kids are all of a different age. Like I have a wide range of watching, and my kids are all very different interests, and they're all coming to each other with them and sharing with each other, and also vaguely interested in some of the stuff we grew up with, right?
Sure.
And like every once in a while they get in the mood to like really check out some old stuff. So I'm deeply fascinated about how some people are just looking forward, don't look back at all. Some people only look back, right?
Correct.
And then there's this pile of people where it's not old or new, it's just stuff, right? And Godfather isn't an old movie. It's just a movie that exists in time and space, and you can watch it anytime, right? And there's a lot of things like that in comics happen too. Someone referenced and I don't want to shame a fellow creator, but someone said something like, "You need to read more modern books like Dark Knight Returns." I'm like, "Hey, buddy, that book is 35 years old. You are just aging the shit out of yourself." But I didn't want to tweet back like, "Dude," because talking to my students and my children at great length about what they think without any judgment. I'm just deeply curious about where people are and what their like media literacy is, and it's like so interesting. And we've talked about, like I mentioned a couple of episodes ago where me and David Walk were in class. We, when we're breaking down the 3-act structure, like what is 3-act structure in storytelling, we'll always go to the original Star Wars
Yeah, I remember you talking
everyone's
about.
seen it. It's very clear. It's literally a textbook version of it. We can break
Sure.
it down. Farm Boy wants to go to outer space, and then suddenly one last year, one of our students goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've never seen it." And then I go, "Oh, you've never seen Star Wars? Who here hasn't seen Star Wars?" And most of the class raised their hand.
Wow.
And I go, "Why haven't you seen Star Wars?" And they go, and someone went, "It's 45 years old. I'm 19. I'll get to it eventually." And someone goes, "Well, I've seen a Star Wars. I've seen it. I've seen
A Star Wars."
And then someone goes, "Do you mean the old British independent one?" That's how they see it. It's the old
Outstanding.
British independent film.
Hilarious. Jesus.
So
Hello, young Luke.
I then made the students sit quietly while I put my head down and considered how old I am. But
when I taught at Columbia, I was teaching them how to make 60. I was radio production, and I'm like, all right, easy 60-second commercial. I'll give you all the elements. You put it together, and I chose like highlights from a Seinfeld episode and make a 60-second Seinfeld commercial using drops from the show, lines from the show. And one of my students came up and goes, I've heard of Jerry Seinfeld. So he like had this show, I guess, years ago that was like, I see the reruns listed. I've never really watched it. And I'm just like, okay. Or another kid who was like, hey, I want to do, because I'm like, for their first assignment, I'm like, just give me a minute of you talking about whatever you want to talk about. And this one kid said, I want to talk about animation, but I want to talk about real old school animation like Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Bravo and Ed, and Eddie. And I'm like, fantastic. All right,
dude,
whatever you want.
They're even watching shows. Like, there's a good percentage of kids, a good percentage. And television are things that passed.
no,
The
yeah,
television
no,
shows,
100%.
sitcoms, anything like that.
Well, as storytellers, guys, I'm curious because this is something I've asked the guys as well and women that I've been talking to. Really, the nature of storytelling, not only are they not watching TV and film like they used to, but they're very happy to get the best minute on TikTok or Instagram or whatever.
Yep.
And I wonder if that will change the nature of storytelling, original stories.
Yes, it will. It already has. It's already changing
From a consumption standpoint, sure.
Yeah. And there's going to be, and by the way, I don't think it's going to be, now we're only going to have 1 minute stories. I think there's going to be an interesting, there's all what I'm describing to you about the monoculture and how there are things that are old but not considered old. They're just considered things that we have, like stories that are told, and some things that are classic and some things that are not. Some things that came out last year that are already look ancient versus they'll watch Casino and think it just came out, right?
Sure.
And watching, like, every once in a while, my kids will ask to see something. Like, I think I told you, like, this summer we did a really great run of like things like they never saw The Martian because they were like 6 when it came out, right?
Sure.
And it's a great movie.
It's an amazing movie.
They loved it. Loved it, right? So, but to them, that's an old movie, right?
You're right.
The weird thing too is like when we were coming up, and you could tell an older movie from the quality of the film grain, whether it was black and white or it was a film that in the 70s didn't capture all of the colors yet and stuff. And now for like the last 20, 30 years, you can watch something that looks like it was shot yesterday. So there's like this disconnect of how much time. And fashions have frankly stayed the same. Like if you went
Reasonably
back to 2002, there's a few things that would stick out, like a choke collar or like cuff earrings or something.
Yeah.
But generally, and people dress the same. It's not wildly different.
I watched 90s
quality of film and stuff.
I have a daughter that she's young, and she watches Gilmore Girls for comfort all the time. Nothing about the show represents her life. And lately she might as well be watching Star Trek. Like nothing about Stars Hollow is her life, is how she was raised, like everything about it. And she's just riveted to it all day long. And it literally came out before she was born. It's literally like what it would have been to us to watch like Gilligan's Island or something.
Sure. There's one of the sub digital channels is really big on 90s sitcoms. And I keep, when you say fashions, Mike, I forget like all the blazers that had primary colors and like you could wear a red blazer and not look ridiculous.
And the jackets that look like jackets on top of jackets.
Our old friend who I'm very happy to see here, Kyle Fagley, has a excellent one. My worst ever was a kid who thought the Blues Brothers were those guys with the crazy blue face paint who played the garbage can.
Oh no, Jesus, hilarious! Happy holidays,
That's a great
Kyle.
one.
That's
That is
fantastic.
Very good to
Jesus.
see you. So
But now, like,
I thought there would be like old and new, and the old stuff would all be jettisoned, and that's not what's happening. So I'm very fascinated by this amorphous kind of everything kind of
I agree.
refinding itself.
Yes.
And so I think this TikToking of the universe is what you're talking about, where
Yes,
everything's
exactly.
broken
Yes.
down to a moment. I think we'll have two or three different things where there would be some people who just experience things like that and nothing else, and they'll never go past it. And by the way, that's most of society anyhow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're all obsessed with movies and comics and culture and music. Most
Yes.
people aren't. They just go about their day. They take in some stuff. Some of it they love, some of it they don't. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't even know who played Barbie. They just don't. They don't know. They don't care, and that's fine.
A lot of this.
Meanwhile, we're like comparing the cinematographer of Transformers 3 to the cinematographer of the new one, and it's a very different kind
I
of.
think what's happening with
movie
like a lot of the younger people now, and I'm only guessing this through my son and like sort of his circles of stuff. Like, I think narrative is, I don't want to say it's in danger, but it'll be out of narrative will be out of the mainstream of what people are consuming. It's going to be kind of this weird mix of like French New Wave realism with Instagram fakery, because basically what you're doing is more people are watching other people play video games and talk about their life while they're playing video games. So you're watching a video game, which is an experience that you relate to with a person that you relate to. Now, there's no narrative of like a story structure, but the narrative is, what are you saying that I relate to? How do I see myself in you? And like, there's value in that. There's real value in that.
Yeah.
One of the best values is this you can only monetize it personally. Like, a company can't monetize that. Your average corporation, they're going to try to monetize that, but they can't. And there's no magic thing that, like, people who do get to that spot, they don't even know how they got to that spot. It was timing. It was whatever is in the mental thing. And that's just kind of what's going on in the future. Like, my son, when he plays games, he's not talking to the other people playing the game. He's on his Discord talking to his friends, and they're either playing the same game, but not talking to the other people, but they're on their Discord talking, right? So like, there's this shared experience that's happening that's replacing sort of the narrative movie theater experience. Not a bad thing. It's just
not a bad thing. But also for some, where I also think this compressed 1 minute thing creates a yearning for the larger experience, which is inside all of us from caveman walls up. Give me the whole story. I want to know all of it. Because what's happening like now, a true crime show that would have been like America's Most Wanted, 25-minute episode is now a 17 episode podcast that dives in. Like, people like go into granular storytelling, and the movies are 3 or 4 hours long. Even the superhero ones are getting bigger and more epic and larger. So it creates an appetite for more, for some, not for everybody. Some, it creates more of an appetite for that.
Bill Maher had an Axios reporter on, and really it made me, as I was telling you guys off the air, I started making shorts, because this guy from Axios said it seems like younger viewers are willing to watch only 1 minute of video, but they are happy to listen to 3 hours of a podcast. And I'm like, welcome to Word Balloon. And I really have
and part of that is because like this is, and maybe things will change if we get some other movement, sort of like a United Artists movement back in the day. Let's face it, like all of the entertainment, like when you're talking about film and television, anything broadcast, that's not off of YouTube or a podcast, is run by a corporation who are not talking to people's experiences.
Nope.
No.
You don't see anything real on television. It's very rare. Like, it's like I get so excited when I find something that's relatable, even if it's a comedy that's abstract. Like we're talking now, we're watching a thing called Brave Young Girls.
Yeah, you sent me that the other day.
Such Brave Girls, right? And it's a dysfunctional British comedy. But the dysfunctionality, while it's super dark and cutting and kind of abstract, I was like, oh, even though that my family wasn't like that, this felt so much more real than any of the drama stuff that I've ever watched that's trying to present itself as real life and stuff. Like, so that's why you or a podcast or Brian can or a Discord can capture an audience in a way that I think television and film is just continuing to fail. And there's always a little exceptions to those rules, right? But largely it's just.
And our friend Talmer wrote, I despise the term content. And boy, I agree. And not because, I mean, it's just a word, but it's just, you can't, the brush isn't that wide. You can't.
It's a dismissal. It's a dismissal of thought and art.
It is.
Agreed.
I know that I've been in meetings where I have not been able to keep a poker face when the word content keeps being brought up over and over again. Like I can hold it together a couple times, but every once in a while I start muttering, "I hate you." Like I just don't look at it that. If you're looking at it like content, you've already kind of lost the thread of why we here. What are we doing? It's about connection and creative connectivity and really getting that human thing of seeing something and feeling more human about it. And if you say content, it looks like you're literally trying to remove the humanity from it. Even if you're not doing that, it just feels like you are. What do we got here?
James Bunt says, I'm a bit concerned that streamers are not interested in hosting movies before the 80s. At best, 16% of Max of their library, and at worst, 2% of Netflix. Yes, but there is Tubi and Pluto and that one XUMO.
Tubi is silently the best streaming service.
Mike, I could not agree more. There are so many great things, and and Pluto is like this, and Zumo is like this as well. You could find classic movies there. I think Amazon is.
My son came to me and said, "This movie, I need to see this movie," and I'm like, "All right, this is a classic motion picture. There's no way you should be able to find this. Couldn't find it on any streamer. It is no longer in print.
Yep.
But it was on Tubi, the only place that hosted it. And that movie, Andy Samberg's Hot Rod, which is a masterpiece.
My nephews love that movie. They love that movie.
My son's so happy.
Yes.
So he fell in love with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I was like, oh wow,
sure.
I got a treat for you. This guy made a couple of great movies, and it's don't even get to SNL yet, right?
Right, and some of the Lonely Island stuff.
But I showed him like the earliest Lonely Island, like Chronicles of Narnia, the class, like. He couldn't even recognize that it was Andy Samberg. He looks.
Oh wow!
Like in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He goes,
hilarious.
I go, that's Peralta. Anyway.
I forget the woman's name, but she was on 9-9, and she's in the new Dancing Netflix show.
Yeah, and she's great in it too.
Amazing.
Just talking about her yesterday, she's great in it.
Oh man, and I love that. And man, I don't binge. But I binged that because it was so good.
Is the new dancing show good?
Yeah, on the inside.
I'm convinced they make trailers to make you not watch the shows. Like it is the lowest common denominator pitch for everything that we see. Well, and it's some inspirational music, and it just drives me nuts.
It's one of those things though, like you have to see it. Like the magic is in the details. They can't.
Yes, we were wondering about that one.
But I will tell you, I've only watched the first 2 episodes because I was literally crying the entire time. Like literally the entire time. And I'm like, this is a comedy. I'm maybe not ready for this right now. Like it's about this
from an age standpoint or what?
Pardon?
Yeah. From an age standpoint or what?
Just like, first of all, I love stories about someone figuring out something about themselves in real time. Like it's like one of my favorite things. And this character, Ted Danson's character from the pilot is
100%.
figuring out, oh no, I'm broken. Like it's just wonderful. And so I will get back to it. And
Sally Struthers, it's so nice to see her back in something good, and she's great in it. Shockingly,
that first shot of her is Emmy worthy.
Yes,
it reminded me of like in Veep, Julie Louis-Dreyfus has an opening moment that is so incredible that you're like, oh, give her an Emmy right now. Just give it to her right now. And Sally Struthers walks in and gives Ted Danson an up and down look like I'm going to eat you alive. It is the most brilliant acting I've seen. Just incredible.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled. How about all right, documentary? I liked Beatles 64 fine, and I appreciate a lot of the footage. But the one that really blew me was the latest Elvis one, and again, familiar territory. It's from the start of his career up to the 68 comeback special. And there's so much great behind the scenes footage and knowledge about the 68 comeback special. And it's like, I mean, I grew up, and maybe you guys did too, in the 70s watching those terrible 60s Elvis movies because they were on TV all the time. And it really cheapened Elvis's image. And he really was a joke by 67, 68. And thank God he did that, comeback. And let's not forget, obviously, unfortunately, things didn't end up well 10 years later when he passed away. But at least he had that moment. Yeah, I know. Sorry, spoilers. But but he at least managed to get some of his magic back and also enjoy himself. And really, because the Colonel really had him doing these terrible, goofy movies. And it's like, can I just get back to music? And the other good thing, and I never thought about it, but even prior to the 68 comeback special, that's when he's like, I'm making a gospel album. And the girl's like, Elvis. He's like, I'm making a gospel album. I want to make a gospel album. Please. And they let him do it. And he was so happy to do it. Yeah. And it was really cool. No, it's great. Darlene Love's in the documentary and Springsteen. It's really, really good. Really good.
By the way, if you want to see me cry, just post that Letterman supercut of her singing Christmas Baby Please.
Oh my God, yes.
She was on the show.
And also Jay Thomas doing the Lone Ranger story.
No, that one doesn't make me cry as much as.
Well, it makes me laugh. But just the whole Letterman Christmas experience and everything. I didn't watch it last night, but they did a 2-hour best of SNL Christmas sketches and songs. And and they do the Darlene Love song that I think Andy Samberg wrote. I don't know who wrote it, but the Jews on Christmas.
Robert Smigel wrote that.
Famous. Oh, Smigel did? Okay. My God.
What the Jews do on Christmas time for the Jews.
Christmas time for the Jews, yes.
Nation.
I remember,
what the Jews doing. It's just the best. But
unbelievable.
A couple things. We have a lot of people talking about The Good Place because we're talking about,
of course,
Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the Ted Danson Show, all written by Michael Schur, who also created The Good Place.
Correct.
Because my son loved Brooklyn Nine-Nine so much, he just loved it so much that I think you're a Michael Schur fan. I think you're a fan of that writer. So hey, try The Good Place, even though it's a little more hoity, right? The jokes are definitely sillier and there's special effects. And I'm just curious if he dig it. He tore through it.
Oh, that's
loved
great.
it. And then we were sitting at dinner. He goes, so life really is about ethics. I'm like, oh my, you totally got it.
Yeah, that's why every time I talk to him, he's like philosophical.
Today he's a man. Way to go. Way to go.
No, it was like bar mitzvah time. There you go. You don't have to, read the Torah now. You got
Am I wrong, Brian? Was Michael Schur, was he part of the state?
No, he was an SNL writer during the time of Seth Meyers. They're all he was in that group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I noticed the state's on Paramount, and I know how much of a fan you are of the state and everything.
Yeah, no, you're thinking of, weirdly, my uncle, my biological uncle, my father's brother is the producer of the state.
I didn't know that. I just remember you raving about how much you loved it and everything.
He was an executive at MTV. He was doing a lot of the MTV, they weren't Unplugged at the time, but little concerts, whatever the little they always have a different name now. They're the Tiny Desk concerts. They come in and do a concert. He would produce those and other things, and it was cool that I had an uncle who worked at MTV, it was during the height of what would be MTV, at least in my eyes, and he's listed as a producer of the state because he brought them in.
Oh, cool.
Supposedly, so yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, very weird. No, I had no idea.
The Good Place is an excellent, and if you haven't binged it yet,
and I give NBC a lot of credit for having the balls to stick with it because, it was only 11 episodes a season while it lasted. And whatever negotiation was made that it's no, it has to be this short. This is all we got. And NBC recognizes, well, everybody loves it. So yeah, let's keep it going.
But music documentaries, if you haven't seen, I'm sure most people on here have, but if you haven't, if you put it on your to-do list during the vacation, definitely watch the John Williams documentary on Disney Plus.
I'm hearing that.
Yes. Ron Howard. It's exceptional. It's literally every music doc, it could have been an hour longer.
Sure.
They had to skip whole chunks of his life just to get to the interesting stuff, right? And all of it's interesting.
Sure.
It does excellently make a presentation that John Williams was the most successful, prominent pop star and musician of our generation. There was all from disco all the way through. He was consistent and popular, right? And they do this excellent job of describing the way we grew up was You got to see Raiders of the Lost Ark one time in theaters, maybe a couple of times, right? It's not on TV, it's not streaming anywhere. You can buy the 2-disc record album and sit in your room, close your eyes, and think of the movie.
Yes.
Like relive it or redirect it in your top trading cards and your if you're lucky, your comic adaptation, which is a Cliff Notes version at best, right? So this idea that John Williams was this other thing for us, who when we didn't have all of the Star Wars available to us all the time, and you could just sit there alone in your room and close your eyes and go, oh yeah, this is the part with the trash compactor. It's just an incredible experience that is no longer. Other experiences have replaced it, but that was a unique experience for our generation for sure.
We're getting a request for gift ideas from Zero Zaku 1. What are some older compendiums or omnibuy or compendiums of underrated comic book series that would be good as a gift? I had Starman by James Robinson or JSA by Jeff Johns in mind.
Those are really good. You know, it's funny. I was grabbing a bunch of
words right.
Yeah, I was grabbing a bunch of stuff to show everybody. A lot of it's newer stuff that I really dug, but I was gonna, because I didn't want to be old manning everything. I was like, the Micronauts omnibus that Marvel just put out. I love like surprisingly dense sci-fi that no one knows is there, right? And no one guessed that Micronauts is completely fully formed, like Lord of the Rings level content. I really do recommend it. On modern stuff, I was going to point out Echo Lands, which is now in hardcover collected form by J.H. Williams, and it's all widescreen.
Jim and I talked about this book. It's amazing, everybody.
Yeah. J.H. Williams came on the Jinx World class and talked about it at great length. This book, as you can see just from that's one of those pages. Hold on. But you can see that every page is like, he's been doing this with every book he's ever had.
Oh, yeah.
There's something really next level going on here. There's something going on the pages where 6 or 7 different art styles are being presented all at once, and it's working, which you think traditionally that wouldn't work, but he figured it out. And
He's a genius mind.
This is one of those, I can't imagine any comic fan not finding something like challenging and exciting in the best way. It's beautiful. It's someone, reaching for the fences. I also have it's really interesting. I found it in the dollar bin, but this after Realm, my friend Mike Kentucky made this.
Oh yeah! Wow, nice slipcase, Mike.
Yeah, really happy with that.
It's really good, and also this is like I watched my friend make this from scratch, and it made me really happy to see him go. And this is a perfect example of I don't care if anybody wants this. I don't care. I'm making it. I gotta make it. And so this is when Mike talks about just do it. He does it. He literally lives this life. So this book is a perfect example. It's everything Mike loves from the genre put forth in the most beautiful way possible.
Thanks so much,
I'm
man.
Just so proud of my pal. I just love it.
Attaboy.
I love a slipcase.
Charlie Lewis says in Echo Lands, each character from a different genre is drawn in a different way. Yes, indeed. That's very true.
And it works. They're written different genres and they're interacting with each other. I looked at it like I just admired it. I don't think I would have thought of this. I don't think I would have been able to find the way to execute it. So when I was reading it, I felt this beautiful feeling, very similar to how I felt with Precious Metal, where I'm like, they are reaching for something I didn't even know was there to reach for, and that's kind of just the best kind of comics. Not just my favorite.
King Sport Cal says, I'm sorry, Michael, go ahead.
J.H. Williams just has an incredible brain, the way he thinks about a page, the way he thinks about his art, his ideas that he's trying to bring across.
Crazy smart. Crazy
smart.
And
I used to talk to Greg Ruck about it at great length. It's like writing for that. For
Batwoman, yes.
It's coming, so you have to and I have that with many of my friends in different ways, and he just looks like a magician, and how do you write for that,
King Sport Cal said, Brian, Batman Universe is a masterpiece. Love that Nightwing Batman sneaking through the vents, etc. panels. So
that is our very good friend and our frequent text buddy, Nick Darrington. I got to say, that's one of those, like me and Mike had this happen to us too. It's like, I'm doing this book with Nick because I'm a big fan of Nick, and then by the end of it, we were pals. Like that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes that was it. That was the end of the road. But with Nick's family ended up moving up here, and and our wives became friends, and he is a very, very, very talented man.
Absolutely.
His sketchbooks are like some archival of something holy. It's like if you ever got to see like an illustrated Celtic Bible or something, like that's what his sketchbooks are like. Every page just crammed full of his brain doing Fibonacci circles of characters and shit. It's like
I have posted over the years. You can find it, Nick Darrington's sketchbook pages. I've literally been at his house just like taking pictures of this sketchbook. Because I literally I can't think of anyone who follows me who wouldn't want to see these.
That's excellent.
I hate him just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Well, also, we're on these text chains where we share our work all the time with each other, and Nick just painted some 60-foot Galactus painting that's in his garage. It's just these always these
That's
very big
I don't know if like people know this about Nick. Like, just for fun, he'll build like the giant penny from Batman, and
that's great.
In his house, he has a robot that he built. Like not out of cheap materials, like just an amazing looking robot.
True scale.
Yeah.
Did you guys know the artist Ibrahim Mustafa, who's a Portland guy, obviously?
Oh, yeah.
Massive.
I've never met him. I don't think I've ever met him.
Brian, you'd love him. He's a sweetheart of a guy.
I love his work. I just don't. I don't even think I knew he was here.
But as a side thing that he does outside of his excellent art, he custom makes action figures, and he goes into serious detail.
Yeah,
and they're
they look manufactured. They don't look.
They absolutely do, Mike. Yeah. And I wanna. There's my buddy Mitch who does Terrificon every year in Connecticut. I'm like, you got to get Ibrahim and now I'm blanking on his name, the Mego guy, Murray, the guy who was in charge of Mego in the 70s. He's still around. But I'm like, and also get Art Baltazar, because Art's a Mego freak and makes custom Megos as well. And I'm like, just get the three of them on a panel talking about the history of action figures and what they like about today. And and it's certainly with 3D printers, a lot of custom Mego creators are just having a field day. And it's like, here's a Buster Crab Flash Gordon head that I've made.
This is a weird story. I don't know if it'll translate, but it was so funky weird. This is only this podcast will this happen. But I'm published at Abrams and with Phenomena, and one of the other books they published is and I'm forgetting the creator's name, but they've done a Superman versus the robots, like a rebranding of the Superman versus the big giant robots comic. And our friend Nick built this robot in his house. Like he has and it's not 3D printed. He built this giant, 15 feet tall, right? Yep. It's a huge robot in his house. And I was meeting this creator for the first time. He showed me his book of Superman versus the Robots, and I went, "Oh yeah, my friend's got one of those in the living room." And I sounded Nick Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters when they showed him the picture of the Devil's Tower. I go, "Yeah, I got one in my living room. Looks just like it." He looked at me like I'm nuts, but my friend really does have
Nick
that.
Reminds me a lot of Fraction in a way, where their brain just works differently. Like I remember one Halloween he shows up and he's dressed up as Clark Kent, or no, the Spirit. He's dressed up as the Spirit.
Matt was
great costume. No, this is
it's Nick.
This is Nick.
This is also on my Instagram if you want to see
it. And then at a certain point, he just takes off the mask, pulls open his suit shirt, and he's got Superman underneath his spirit outfit, which he wore for like 2 hours before revealing.
But also remember, he wasn't Superman. He was the Superman with the bug head that took the red kryptonite.
Red kryptonite, sure.
Yeah, he wasn't just Superman. And anyone could do just Superman. He was the red kryptonite bughead Superman.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah. He's just full of that kind of like inventive thinking. The way that Matt looks at a story and finds like, how can I do this in a way that nobody else has done it? Nick is like that with his art or his creativity and stuff.
But thank you for saying that about Batman Universe. I was scared to write Batman. I was, as soon as Nick and I were teamed up, I felt, at least it'll be gorgeous. Like it's a place I get to in my head where I start to feel free and I start to write towards it. And most of the things that you like about that book are me trying to write towards Nick's clear brilliance and making sure that he is not
That's cool.
bored and that he is being given everything that he needs to do.
But don't sell yourself short either. Like the way you wrote Batman in that was amazing, because it's hard to show Batman as a smart human being, right? It's so easy to just go into like he's solving a crime and stuff, but like you just showed him as like intelligent and empathic in ways that is very hard to, because you want to drift towards some of this other kind of stuff.
No, my biggest worry, I appreciate that. I'm cutting you off your compliment because I don't want to hear it. But my biggest worry was that like the Batman that is the Batman at DC is often tinged in horror and very like, you know, like and God bless, like people really love those, and just that isn't where I wanted to go at all. So I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna like this is literally the opposite of popular what I'm offering. So I wasn't sure if it would hit. So I was happy there was enough people who were like, absolutely in the mood for that as well. So and also that was I was freed by we've talked about this on this podcast years ago. When I was doing all my DC studying to getting into the mindset, I came across a introduction Frank Miller wrote in a Batman encyclopedia, like literally a Batman armor encyclopedia, where he wrote about how Batman is unique to the culture, that you can do anything to it and people still see Batman. You can do the darkest horror, Arkham Asylum, Batman, and you can do Lego Batman, and no one says that's not Batman. They just go, no, that's Batman, and that's only that you couldn't do that to Harry Potter. You can't do that to Captain America, but Batman you can do it to. And I was, and it freed me to like just do
like even in, you're right, because like even in like that goofy Super Friends kind of Saturday morning cartoon stuff, like he still felt very Batman. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, he was a hero fighting crime. He cared about people more than revenge and stuff like that, and like. Yeah.
Charlie, you're right. I will say that I accidentally found myself writing Brave and the Bold. Like 100% that book is Brave and the Bold.
Absolutely.
I only like 4 issues in looked at it and went, oh, this is Brave and the Bold. I love Brave and the Bold, particularly Jim Aparo Brave and the Bold. That is a gold standard sweet spot for me in DC Comics. And where I fell in love with most of those characters was that, and the DC one with Superman. There's a DC Spotlight or
DC Presents.
DC Presents. I love every issue DC Presents. I love those. Also, there was a time where more on DC Presents where Brian Boland drew this issue. Like there would be like really big people who only had time for one issue and they would do it there. It was almost like a Marvel fanfare kind of situation.
I did a panel with Maria and George, who played Hawkgirl and Superman in the Justice League cartoon. Just them. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be, because first I was looking through the cartoon for some great Hawkgirl Superman scenes that they could, do a table read of while we did the panel, and couldn't really find any meaningful scenes. So I, of course, went to the keeper, much like Brevoort is with Marvel, the keeper of DC trivia, Mark Wade, and I email him and I'm like, there's got to be a Hawkgirl Superman story somewhere. And within an hour, he's like, DC Presents number 44. Here's the PDF. And what was great was Starlin wrote the story. So he wrote the story. I can't forget who drew it.
What you talk about. Yep.
And Starlin was at the con. So I adapt the first act of the comic and make about an 8-minute table read script. And I'm like, Jim, you want to be on the panel? He's like, John, I wrote that thing, 40 effing years ago. He goes, I couldn't even remember moment 1 of that story. He said, go forth, my son. And I'm like, all right, no problem, man. But we had a great time. And it was great because both George and Maria are like, hey, this is a good scene. How come we didn't do anything like this on the show? I'm like, you're asking the wrong guy. But I'm like, I'm sure the intent was there. But yeah, it was great. But no, that's how I was, Bri, with Marvel Team Up. And Marvel 2. I learned all about the universe through those team-up books. Yeah.
So when I was writing Ultimate Team-Up, I was very aware I was writing Ultimate Team-Up. When I was writing Batman Universe, I did not know I was writing Brave and the Bold.
Someone in the chat earlier, Bri, asked why you chose Wagner to do one of your Ultimate Team-Up issues. And I don't remember which specific one it was. Matt Wagner.
Oh no, he was the first issue. Like he was the
there you go.
person I called. I know Mike feels the same way. Matt Wagner was a very important creator. He was doing profound work as we were coming up. Like as we were entering, as we were trying to figure out how to put balloons on the page, how to put the staples in the books, there's Matt Wagner doing exceptional, seemingly very personal yet epic work. Like Mage and Grendel both together. And also there was something about his drawing style, and every generation has this, like, I felt like maybe I could do it. Like I can't draw Brian Boland. Like I'll never ever, but maybe I might be able to get close to this.
Yeah.
Like,
just Matt was using like bold, simple shapes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't about the rendering,
So
Matt, he was just doing things at the time, again, that nobody else was doing. Most people were just doing stories well told. Very few people were bringing in like Art Nouveau design in an intelligent way, using poetry and mythology in a way that was conscious, as opposed to just sort of reflecting the culture and stuff. And he was just doing this wild stuff that was art comics, in the 80s.
Yeah, and,
absolutely.
Like a goal that looks like obtainable, if that makes sense. There's some songs where you can just start to play them you can get close to playing them, and you love them because you can get close to playing them. And I was fooling myself. I could never get anywhere close to what he was doing. But as we were coming into the space of comics, there was Matt being very warm and greeting, to the point where I felt I could ask him to write the introduction to the first Goldfish collection, and he said yes. And I don't know why. I don't know him. And it's so funny. Today I would never ask him. And now we know each other. I would never bother the man with his bullshit, right? So, but what happened was, to answer the direct question, I had spent years trying to get Marvel's attention. I had Marvel's attention. All of a sudden, things are going very well, both at Ultimate Spider-Man and Daredevil, and things behind the scenes. And they came to me and said, we're going to open the line of Ultimate line a little bit. What other book would you like to do? And I said, boy, I want to do Ultimate. I want to do Marvel Team Up, and I want to do Marvel Fanfare. I want to do both of those things. And I do think there should be a book in the market right now. If the Ultimate line is about, hey, everybody, comics aren't shitty, take a look, right? There should be one that fully celebrates the art form. Like there should be, and Marvel Fanfare, to me, when I was a kid, was where I was finding out a lot of stuff for the first time.
Absolutely.
I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could do that.
Yes.
And some of it was just literally some of these creators having a lark. And meanwhile, it's the most important thing I've ever seen them do, right? So I wanted to, I said, I pitched a cross between Marvel Team Up and Marvel Fanfare, where it's Spider-Man and let the creator who we're inviting to join us pick the and which now I see as a very improv-y kind of idea. Literally, it's a yes and, like,
sure,
Spider-Man and as soon as the book was greenlit, and I said we come together like the best creators of every generation, blah 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 blah, and the first person I called was Matt Wagner. The first time I had a gold ticket that said you can call whoever you want, the first person I called was Matt Wagner, and he said yes. And then he said, do you think they'd go for Spider-Man and Wolverine? Like, he literally said, like that would make, I go, I think they'd be relieved beyond measure that yeah, I think that's the number one answer, as survey says, Spider-Man and Wolverine. So we did that, and it was just a delight. And so
Matt was the first rock star comic creator that said yes to doing Word Balloon. And I was so Ringo too. Ringo was like that too.
Ringo Starr?
Huh?
Ringo Starr?
Yeah, no. Our late great friend Mike.
Never met Mike Ringo.
No, really?
Yeah,
oh
never
wow!
met him. It's really
sweetheart.
I've said this a million times, and I usually like around the time of the anniversary of his passing. He was an amazing shit detector for me early on, and I'm like, can you be my sounding board? Because I don't want to really, Mike. I didn't want to screw up interviews, and I didn't want to come off like a schmuck. And he's like, no,
how close we were to maybe, and I don't remember the dates and all that, but there was like us doing Avengers might have happened in another universe, like that. That's how that, because even the editors were like, you two should maybe, and
he was great.
I'm super sad it never happened.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
But also, I'm so happy with what we have every time.
Oh my God, what a body of work. Absolutely, man. No, his stuff will stand the test of time. And I'm really glad.
Human being. He's a sweetheart.
And it's great that Mark and the Baltimore guys have honored him with the Ringos and everything.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I wanted to ask you guys before, because again, I don't want to. I'm happy to keep.
Oh yeah,
going.
we're over the.
I know we're over your hour. Sorry, but I wanted to ask you guys about. I really feel like we're in this like new golden age of espionage television.
Oh, you think it's a golden age? I have a different feeling.
Please, do you think it's that good?
Well, no. I think we have fucking Slow Horses, which is just a beautiful. Every fucking episode is better than the next. I can't believe how good it is. And you haven't watched it yet, right, Mike?
No, not yet.
All right, there's many things to love about Slow Horses, but one of the greatest things, and the one I laughing at myself, and for those who've seen it, they'll know exactly what we're talking about. There's a lead actor who's incredibly handsome, and he's just got main character energy, and he's just got James Bond written all over him, but in a very way. But he is in the Slow Horses. This is the department of fuck ups.
Yes,
everyone who fucked up is now in this group, right?
Yeah.
So he's the king of the fuck ups, but never acts like he's fucking up until like he goes on a mission and completely gets his ass beaten. Like just this, he falls off of buildings. He never, ever, ever is successful in his mission. And it's always because his jaw is so perfect that you're like, oh no, he's going to do it this time. And it never, I keep falling for it because I've been raised by a handsome man will get the job done. And it's hilarious that the show is, the joke is it'll never happen. And I fall for it every time. So yes, that's the Slow Horses. I just had also finished Peaky Blinders, which for those who don't know is also kind of it's many things. It's a crime show, but there's also espionage and all kinds of other things going on in that show. I loved it as much as I love The Shield and Gilmore Girls, and it's up there for me in the Hall of Fame of I can't believe that happened in my life.
Kerry Russell's Diplomat. I'm a huge fan.
I haven't watched it yet.
Incredible.
It's great.
It's on the list.
And it's great.
I will say, and I'm going to sound like a giant ass fucking hypocrite because I've written this idea a couple of times, but the guy who's really in a family, oh, but he's really a spy. Oh, but his wife's really a spy. Oh, his mom's really a spy. And Mark Wahlberg is really a spy. That writing needs to be better. Like there's a lot.
Oh, I agree.
There's this movie Ghosted with Chris Evans, which drives me.
Haven't seen it. Well,
it's literally the worst version of this idea you can think of, and it's also poorly cast because you're like, she's the spy, he's the idiot, right? And you're sitting there going, you're still Captain America. It's still like you're still a very, very put together, chiseled man who's
leading
around.
man.
Like it should have been like Jonah Hill or something. It just doesn't work.
Interesting.
What you're showing is two different things, and
it's a little bit older now. But did either of you see the Patriot on Amazon?
Loved it. Yes,
my favorite. Everyone in comics loves Patriot.
You know what I'm late?
In comics loves Patriot.
You know what I'm late to? That's been on FX is The Old Man, the Jeff Bridges show.
I loved the first season.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Loved it. That pilot is exceptional. That is an exceptional pilot.
Yes, and I'm only 2 episodes into it. And also, man, Lithgow, always the secret weapon. Always the secret weapon.
Well, let me pivot on to what was on my list to bring to the table.
Please do.
I just saw the movie. It's on Peacock right now. Conclave with Lithgow and Stanley Tucci and the amazing Ray Fiennes. It's a papal thriller. It's the
great.
Pope is dead. Who will be the new pope?
Sure.
And it is exceptional. It is so well written. It is incredibly well acted. Like incredibly. And there's fucking Lithgow just nailing it with a whole different flavor than any of the other things we're talking about. I just can't believe, like, Stanley Tucci's there and he's being great, but it's a Stanley Tucci performance. Lithgow is doing something else.
That's excellent.
And so is Ray Fiennes, by the way.
And I see Sport Cal telling me that Old Man got canceled. We only got 2 seasons. That's fine. I'm late to it. And
that one's not even really. It's hard to even call it a cancellation. Like Jeff Bridges isn't well, and they can't get the show made.
That sucks.
It does. Like it took them 5.5 years to get 2 seasons out.
Wow.
Like So I think it's just,
His
even
health.
with for those who've seen it, it's in the pilot. That great. There's a hubris moment where clearly, without editing, Jeff Daniels has left the Jeff Bridges. I mean, has left the scene, and the stuntman has come in without editing. They do a great bit where the stuntman comes in and out of the scene, and you're like, there's no way this 80-year-old guy is like swinging like crazy, and then they turn.
I mean, that's the problem with any of these movies where there's an old spy. I love watching an old dude kick ass or old lady kick ass, but I wake up early in the morning because of sleeping too long. I am in pain. So I'm watching Jeff Bridges and Lithgow ride horses in the second season. I'm like, they're not going to be able to walk after they get off these horses. Their hips are going to be displaced. And every time he punches somebody, I'm like, why is his elbow not shooting into his face after he punches somebody?
The way that Frank
like I could watch a superhero movie and believe it. I can't believe 70-year-old guys.
That was the great thing about Frank doing the original Dark Knight Returns, that all those fight scenes, Batman's inner monologue is, all right, that's going to hurt tomorrow. Or, well, I just shattered 50. My knee making that kick or whatever.
Dark Knight Batman was like 50.
I believe I said on this podcast that when I hit 50, I remember as a kid thinking, Batman's 50, that's insane. Like, of all the things that comics are throwing at me, that's the one bridge too far. Yeah. Kryptonite, yes. Crypto, yes. Multiverse, sure. But Batman is 50? No way in hell. I can't get into it. And then I hit 50 and I was very healthy. And I remember going, oh, I think this is the only age I could have been Batman. And then 3 years later, I went, no, that was it.
I always wanted Victor Garber, especially after Alias, to play a Dark Knight Batman, because he really had middle-aged Bruce Wayne down as Jack Bristow and was a badass. And I really loved how much of a badass he was in Alias and stuff. And I'm like, he could do 50-year-old Batman. And also on that, as I was telling you guys, I just turned 60 on the 2nd. And oh, thank you very much. But really,
what's it looking like?
Honestly, man, I was more freaked out about 50 than I was 60, because for 49, I'm like, oh shit, all right, it's coming this year, it's coming this year. And then it happened, and I'm like, I'm still me. So I'm still me.
Look at that hair, man.
There you go, and Rancid. Yes, and I know,
I
know. Sorry, boys, I know. I apologize.
Just bouncing around, just mocking us.
I know. I got a Shep Howard thing happening, man. I need a haircut, so I'm flopping around and everything.
You and your hair privilege. Tom brings up the evidence that we've just seen of Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones.
Yes,
that is the perfect one, because he is very present on camera. Like, I know there's effects and edits and blah blah blah, but there's a lot of him on a horse and him, like, it's him doing what he can do, and it's still like, oh buddy, you're gonna break something. You're too old for this.
Joker 2, who saw it? I saw it. I liked it. Okay, no problem. If you haven't seen it, then you can.
I died laughing at the new Max.
I was going to mention our text thread was full of that ad for the.
There's an ad that Max is running showing all the bad reviews, except for Tarantino loved it, and then they go, "Here's a shitty review." Tarantino goes, "I think it's the best movie I've ever seen," and then they go, "See for yourself," and I'm like, "Okay, that's."
Well, my buddy Rob and I agree with him. Charlie says he liked Joker 2. There you go. And the opposite reaction, I have no plans to see Joker 2. I respect all of it. And it's a massive downer. All that said, I really think 10 years from now, that'll be one of these movies where it's like, the general audience, it was the wrong timing or whatever.
It might be. That happens all the time. I have a different theory because
please.
Joaquin Phoenix spent a good decade of his life doing a practical joke about being a rap star. And he made a documentary, and he went on Letterman a couple of times, and he was like this performance that he was playing.
Correct.
And I think there's a big part of him who just isn't in any of this, like, and is a reluctant movie star at best. And then the Joker makes $1 billion. And I think Joker 2 might be like him doing doing a bit.
Well,
because he does bits like he does.
I understand
a long weird bit.
Well, did either of you see Megalopolis?
No, tell me. No, Coppola, tell me. Oh, please, guys, tell me.
Did you see it?
Not yet.
Did not see it.
This week, Fraction declared it best movie of his life. I literally, he literally said, why would you go to movies if not to see stuff like this? So, so we're gonna do a Megalopolis queer double feature this week.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
I just think Phillips was never intending to make This Is How the Criminal Mastermind Was Born, and this is really chapter 2 of the same first story, and it's almost the audience reaction of, well, you're going to be the Messiah now, right? You're going to, much like the crowd in the first movie, you're going to be this, right? And it's like, no, I'm a little putz, and I don't know how to break it to you, but I've always been a little putz, and I'm a very troubled man. And that's a bummer and a downer, but it really is this like really expensive art movie, and I respect that.
Yeah.
And again, we'll see what happens with. I'm curious what happens with Todd Phillips next, because he has the first Joker movie, and of course the Hangover movie. So he's been a very profitable director.
They have put all blame on Joaquin. No one's taken the hit.
Really? Okay, you're more inside, man. So you know,
100% was like, this was his idea. He made us do it. Like, that's when I went, oh, maybe he's fucking with them. Maybe this was maybe this is that's why I thought it was that thing. I have no insider information. I'm just watching as a fan going, all right, what is this? Also, sometimes there's a lesson in not everything needs a sequel just because it made $1 billion. You don't have to make
100%.
another one. I know we live in this world, and that's what's going to happen. We're going to get another Barbie movie. We're going to get a Barbie-verse movie. We're going to get a Ken movie. But even though I don't think we should, I think we should just leave it.
Are you boys in the Sony business still or no?
I am.
All right, then I'll reserve my my thought on the Waiting for Godot Spider-Verse that Sony has created of all these movies, where it's like,
well, it's over. They're done.
Because nobody wanted Craven. I don't know how to break it to them, but nobody wanted Craven. And also, stop making Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man, please, because it's stupid.
Aren't you glad the audience didn't fall for it, though?
Yes, I am, Brian, because truly, I mean, this is. And really, it's a huge problem, and I talk about it with all of my screenwriter friends, whether it's film or TV or whatever. And it's a very sad, interesting time, because all the studios put a shit ton of money in those streaming shows that nobody wanted to see, and they still had to pay the bill for them. And certainly since the strikes, they're all scared of any new idea, and they don't know what the hell
it is. We are definitely in a. And as Mike and I have dedicated so much of our life to new ideas, I literally only am doing new ideas right now. Like I deeply believe that's where we're going to head, because as they pointed out on Blank Check, is Beetlejuice like the last legacy sequel where everyone involved is still around and they can try to make another one? Yes. Is there anything left? Like, everything's been apart.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they can make Hot Rod too.
But so my feeling is, I've had some conversations with people around, and the feeling is that we're still in a post-strike, fucked up AI
environment. Mindset. Yes.
But come next March, or somewhere around there, there's gonna be a lot of people deciding to get back to it.
Good,
including, hey, maybe streaming isn't the business model everyone wants it to be, and maybe we should go back to commercial broadcast television. I mean, we remember, like, it used to be that TV was the thing to deliver the commercials, and then they got rid of the commercials, and now everything's falling apart.
Oh my god, our favorite, Taki and I, our favorite thing is just yelling at the TV at the bad commercials. Kids today don't know commercials used to be so good. There would be shows that were compilations of the commercials.
Yes.
That's how good they were. And now you're watching like major brands clearly shot on an iPhone, clearly shot with like amateurs, and no thought behind the
Well said,
thing.
Mike. Yeah.
And often we'll ask each other, do you know what that one was about? Do you know what that was about? No. And then when you see a very straightforward normal commercial, like I think there was one for Cheetos or something. I don't know what it was. It was just really simple. I was like, oh, I know what that was for. That was great. It was
By the way, we're not doing
Anyway.
enough justice. The comment section has been hilarious consistently the entire
Yes.
time we've been talking.
Well,
There's been
that's so Craven, by the way, which is a fantastic line from Tim Moore.
outstanding comments and add-ons to everything we're talking
Yeah, I'm
about.
sorry, everybody. Well, sometimes
No.
you know,
I just want you to know I'm reading them and laughing.
and I appreciate you saying that, Brett, because truly, like, we've moved on to another subject, and people are still talking about, yeah, you can do this with Superman or Batman, but you can't do X with Superman. And it's like, listen, I hear you, man, but we're on to 3 categories past that.
Yeah, now they're not commercials, but
Yes,
no, like I even was like, one of my kids wouldn't watch a trailer to something, and I'm like, oh, you got to see the trailer, and then they go, no, I just want to see it. I go, it's an art form unto itself, a great trailer, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
that's
Well,
the
and it's funny because as Tierlock said, commercials used to have storylines and cinematography. I hate that I miss commercials. Marlboro Country, when we were infants, was like an actual wide sprawling Western. And with the Magnificent Seven music, come to Marlboro Country. And you had the Marlboro man on a horse and everything, man. Very
commercials were
Tom
so
Selleck-y.
good. We would promote commercials to each other on our own time. Where's the beef?
Yes.
Tons of commercials. We would just, that was
What's
the
up?
water
Yeah.
cooler talk was the commercial. Like they were
Settle-
that good.
Settlemeyer was the guy behind the Where's the Beef stuff, and he was an ad guy in Chicago. And we still talk about him and how brilliant he was with just 30 seconds to make something memorable and funny. Yeah. Really amazing. Yeah.
All right, back to comics.
All right. Oh, good one. Hold on.
Not by Taki Soma.
Somana.
Not the autobiography of Taki.
This is by Becky Cloonan and Chula Lotte.
While you eat that or read that.
They spelled your name wrong. Anyway, it's 2 of my favorite artists,
Becky.
Like my mom.
coming together and making a really, really unique.
Who else other than Becky made Soma?
Pardon?
Becky Cloonan and
Chula Lotte.
Tula's
so good.
great.
Yeah, Tula has been kind enough to gift us with a couple of covers.
Oh, nice.
In King's World. She is absolutely wonderful.
Nice.
And,
She
this
that-
book is great.
That Flyboys book that she made with Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my! And I'm a big Blue Max and those 70s, Walter Pepper, those fantastic 70s movies about World War I aviators and stuff. No, I love that shit.
Awesome.
So she's great. She's amazing.
I just want to put that out there. Something, if you were looking for something different that you may not have seen, this hardcover is excellent.
What else?
Also, I'm gonna plug my friends.
Nice.
Both David and Alex did a Kickstarter. Hold on a second.
Which Alex?
There you go, Alex Maleev.
Oh, Maleev, sure.
Did a Kickstarter.
Beautiful.
We did it together actually.
Oh, wow.
And I did contribute heavily to these books, so it's a little bit, but we have been friends for our whole lives, and I remember sitting in diners with David, like talking about other people's art books. So the fact that we've gotten to a place where David and Alex and Mike can all fill up
Absolutely.
a beautiful art book, and they did an exceptional job on these.
Glad to hear it.
Way better than I thought it was going to look. I don't know what I thought it was going to look like, but just every page is more beautiful than the next.
Sure.
And I just love them to death, and I'm so happy they exist. It's also
That's
like
awesome.
it's a weird feeling for us all too. It's like having like a scrapbook of like a life, like a part of our lives, So anyway, these are
Kari tells us you can get Soma and other distillery omnibus books as buy one get one through December. All right.
Great!
Plug.
I'll have to check that out. What, are they doing that at distillery? Are they doing a buy one get one?
I guess so. Yeah, at their website.
Right, cool.
Yeah,
anyway,
very cool.
It's great. I'm really into what they're doing. It's pretty cool. Like their whole lineup.
Oh yeah, distilleries.
Yeah.
No, they
I don't know them or anything. I just they're
it's
digging it.
Well, it's David and Chip, who obviously built Comixology, and they moved over to Distillery and doing the same thing. And no, a lot of my friends are making great. Stephanie Phillips and Azzarello, among everybody else that's been mentioned. And also, by the way, getting back to Matt Wagner, I'm so happy for him and Kelly Jones and their Dracula thing that they're doing.
Yeah,
and it's really, really
right?
great. It's really great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Jim too, JH did a great Dracula thing as well. That's the last time we talked. We talked about Dracula. And everything.
Right. That's right. All right. Cool. Cool. How about you, Mike? What do you got over there?
Yeah, Mike, what do you got?
Come on, Mike.
I was reading this bag earlier.
Sour Patch. What's your favorite flavor of Sour Patch, Mike?
Blue.
Blue.
Blue is good.
Blue, so I can't have the blues.
Blue is good. I'm like that with Jolly Ranchers. I'm a big.
Hey, Steven, just so you know, Max Kabuki is coming out through Dark Horse for a big 30th anniversary hardcover, like a really fancy big one. I'm really excited about it. So if you want to pre-order that, it'll give him give him the love. He is exceptional.
Yeah.
I think the last
we're gonna wind it down. I just want to see if I missed.
Okay,
any.
brother.
Thank you for all the compliments and nice comments about stuff. I really, really appreciate it.
Brian likes compliments.
Pardon?
I said Brian likes compliments.
I like. No, I want them, but I don't have the capacity to take them in. So it's a unique mental state. Like I'm desperate for them, but don't know what to do with them when you give them to me. And usually.
I did
them out of people's hands.
I did someone else's.
Insult the person who give you the compliment.
Yeah.
No, I don't go that far. I usually change the subject in a way that makes them look at me going, you're really not going to. That's what. Anyway.
Well, forgive me for kind of patting myself on the back, but I was a guest on another person's podcast, and he's like, you're my podcast hero, and he goes, I was so excited to meet you this year at a con, and I said, really? I'm like, aim higher. I'm just another fan, man. I'm just another guy. I'm like,
what
believe me.
podcast was it?
The True North Country Comics podcast. It's
okay.
Canadian. It's a Canadian led comics podcast, and he really likes to talk about Canadian creators. But yeah, he's like,
John, I don't even think I properly expressed this to you, but every time I go on another specific comic book podcast, I then immediately am told that they feel like they're living in the shadow of our work together in the podcast space.
That's amazing.
And it comes up immediately, or they always in some, listen, this isn't going to be like John. This is like immediately and
for better or worse.
So you certainly created a standard in which other people are trying to rise to. The Marvel by the Month guys, the Geeks Explaining. They've all referenced you off.
That means a lot. No, it really does. And you seriously, man, it's your generosity and your immediate delight of the notion of doing a podcast in those first couple of years that we were doing it, that it meant a lot, that you're like, hey, this is fun. I want to keep doing this with you. And every now and then you'd refer to it as our show, which I love. No, Brian.
When we're both on it.
And I understand that, but that's what I'm saying, that you actually are claiming ownership of when it's us. And I'm like, good. And really, I worried for a minute when Substack and Discord and everything you're doing with Jinx World now. I'm like, oh, I hope. And of course, it hasn't affected. And not that it wouldn't, but I'm just saying that you're doing this on your own, which I love. And you're having guys like JH and everybody.
Your biggest worry should have been, and this is true, because of some of this energy that we have going into this, I do get invited onto some of my favorite podcasts. Outside of comics, like what ends up being I've gotten to do some Comedy Bang Bang shows, and I literally just filmed last week. I did my first episode of Blank Check, which is probably my favorite podcast outside of comics.
Sure.
And I was so honored to be part of it, and I literally was like, I felt like our years together got me ready for the stage of
I'm happy to hear that.
Professional podcasters in a way.
Sure.
So I'm very excited for this episode to come out. Very excited.
And Mike, I mean, my God, again, just like Brad from day one, man. I mean, and again, finding our like-minded love of stuff like Chariots of the Gods.
You've ruined a lot of podcasts for me, because I would just assume, because early on it was with you. So for a long time I was just blindly saying yes to the podcast, and I'd get on, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm wasting my time, and I want to die. And what's your favorite color? So I've learned to start, watching some podcasts before I say yes to them and stuff. Because you just presented it as like, oh, it's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be a natural conversation with smart questions and observations to what the answers are and stuff like that. And
hopefully.
And podcasts are such a space for me to chill out, and that even I can't always listen to a comic book podcast, because like a lot of them, they might mention our friends or even something I've done, and I don't want to hear it, positive or negative. I'm just not there right now. I just want I don't want
entertainment.
I want to think about and so it's
you want to escape.
It's always interesting to me.
Well, And again, it's funny. I was earlier. I did another podcast, another episode of my show because I wanted to kind of stack stuff up for Christmas coming up. And
Who was it?
I had Matt Klickstein on, who just is releasing a collection of interviews with Lloyd Kaufman, the Troma filmmaker.
Really?
And
Okay.
and Matt got me Lloyd earlier this year, and it was a thrill.
Wow.
I mean, being a Corman fan, and Lloyd is really our spiritual successor to Corman, or really peer in a lot of ways to Corman, because of the decades that Lloyd's been doing Troma and everything. But yeah, it was really good. But what I was saying was that without getting into the specifics of politics, the one thing that everyone agrees with bipartisanly is the influence of podcasting on the culture these days.
Oh,
And it's because we're not stuck. We don't have to break every 6 minutes for a commercial. We don't have network bosses saying, well, you can ask X, but you can't ask Y. And it's just a natural conversation. And people can relax and be themselves.
But as we were talking
and that's
about
a big
before,
difference.
I actually think it's an absolute reflection of the people who take in the 1 minute or 30 seconds of something. Okay, and I now need 3 hours of it.
100%.
Okay,
And that's what
I need all of this.
Yeah, and I tag my shorts with to hear the rest or to watch the rest of the interview. Come to Word Balloon's YouTube channel and etc. So yeah, no, I'm with you.
I'm sorry, I've said nothing taggable today. I have said nothing.
No, that's not true. No, there's a couple things. I'll have to go through it, but yeah. Oh no,
Well, what did I say that was taggable?
I don't remember right now. But as we were, I know there was something, and here everyone can go rewind to 1 hour and 41 minutes, and Brian was on a Jag, and I'm like, oh yeah, that'll make a nice short. Maybe it was about Team Up. Maybe it was about your origins of Team Up.
Yeah. That's
But no, that's the. Hey man, I had Dennis Cowan talking about how lousily racist Vinnie Coletta was to him when he was a kid trying to break in. It's a short that's out there, everybody. I'll send you the link.
I'd like to listen to that. I've heard some Vinnie Coletta stories.
And yeah, man, I'm sure both of you have.
Mhm.
And it was eye opening because I used to be not a Vinnie Coletta apologist, but I'm like, listen, I know the guy would have his tough guy act, and he claimed he was with the mob and all this stuff, and he could be a bully. But I always am like, yeah, but he saved Englehart and Marshall Rogers when they were doing the Joker laughing fish story. And DC was like, something, these guys are behind, let's just cancel it. And Coletta's like, you can't. This is an exceptional story. Let these guys finish their story. Wow. That's pretty cool. However, what was not cool was how lousy and racist Vinny was to Dennis. And Dennis, again, luckily it didn't ruin his career. And it was early enough along that he was able to have some nice schadenfreude personally, although he was the bigger man when a situation where he could help Vinny came up, and he was magnanimous. I'll leave it at that. It's a very interesting story. But I love talking to Dennis. I love talking.
And Mike and I talk about this a lot. It's interesting how attracted we are to this space, and in this space, there are people who are also attracted to this space who are not the best humans you would hope they would be, and it's for us, not that we're perfect humans in any way.
None of us are,
but like our circle of friends, absolutely trying, at least trying to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be on a daily basis. And you bump into people who are absolutely not, and it is, and you're like, how did you end up here? Like, what comics did you read? And did you read them thinking like Dr. Doom was the shit? Like, I don't like what were you doing here? Like, it's the strangest thing, and it's generational. It goes back to every generation. There's like, you hear either horror stories and also stories where you hear the best thing you've ever heard about anybody about.
And it's the smallest mountain to want to be like the king of and treat people like crap. Like, it's so weird. Like, if you want to treat people crappy, find a bigger place.
We're crime writers. Like, if you're gonna fuck someone over, fuck them over millions of dollars, not like $50.
Yeah, put some effort into it.
Strangest move. It's the strangest. But anyway,
all right.
Those are ours. Thank you for we did 2:15.
Oh, we did fine. No, this is exactly what I was hoping for. Sorry, my man. I know. He's like, maybe an hour. I'm like, all right.
Promote your 10:30, guys. Good night.
What do you got? Promote your books. You got William at Dark Horse.
William of Newberry trade paperback will be out in January, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, Mike, we'll do a solo about that. Please go on.
Yeah. We'll come back on. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Wrapped up a BPRD thing with
his voice was too high.
With Robertson. Robertson, right?
Yep.
BPRD. Yeah.
So
I'm
wrap
excited
it
for
up.
that.
Ryan and I are working on stuff. I'm working on a
Yay.
project with Taki. I just did a cover for her Comicsology book, which I don't know how announced that is, other than that it is a book.
Yeah, Taki, is your thing announced at all?
Just that it's a book, but not like specifics, not the title even or anything like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Taki's got a good book coming. Really good book coming. Really excited for it.
And then I'm going to be doing a thing with Douglas Freshcloth. I'm going to be teaming back up again.
Hey, great, man. Oh, no, that's
What is
wonderful.
it?
You getting back to, you guys did the Crowley thing years ago, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This
No,
one's
Rush
about
Coff's
the
amazing.
millionaire, so we're going to get in trouble for that too.
Fantastic.
All right.
Excellent.
And
Charlie's
as I
excited
said
for
earlier, Mike and I are. Oh, thank you, Charlie. You've been an exceptional poster tonight. Everything you posted has been quite lovely and thoughtful. So thank you. Mike and I are working on our first ongoing series in a very long time. That's our big hint for the day, and it's also Power's 25th anniversary. So we're very, very excited about what we have coming for you through Dark Horse next year. Thank you for someone who pointed out Fortune Glory the Musical, which is a graphic novel I've just finished about my time writing Spider-Man the Musical for 2 weeks before I got fired. It is coming out in the middle or end of January. It got bumped so we had some printer issues, so it didn't come out for Christmas, but it's okay because Masterpiece is out, and I'm really excited for people to buy that. And Fortune Glory the Musical will come out. And to quote my dear friend Ed Brubaker, who said it might be the best thing he's ever seen come out of me. So,
that's excellent.
I'm excited. Oh, plugging. I stopped talking about Mike and he fell asleep. The Sour Patch has kicked in.
I'm back.
And
all right.
But if you want to have more of this conversation, please join us at jinxworld.com. You join the newsletter and subscribe. Most of the people on here I recognize as people who do, and they are also part of our excellent Discord, which is chill and creator friendly and very exciting, and a space so comfortable I can bring my college students into it, and it makes me very happy that it's such a safe space in comics where people can do their thing. The other book I want to promote is Kelly Sue's FML from Dark Horse Comics.
We'll be talking soon.
It's always, I always feel like you're promoting your friends' books, but they literally, our friends have been kicking.
Our friends are geniuses.
Yeah,
they
they're
really
talented
are.
people, man.
Great.
Yeah.
And so this FML is a very special thing from Kelly and David Lopez.
It's great. I read it before it came out.
Yeah, you really want to check that out as well. So jinxworld.com. I'm at Dark Horse. Phenomena book series at Abrams. Third volume will be out in May or March. But the first two are available right now. You can buy them signed at Powell's Books or anywhere comic books are sold. Excellent stocking stuffers and Hanukkah gifts. So there you go. It's a great year for us Jews where the Hanukkah starts on Christmas. So the after Christmas sales are still going on during Hanukkah, which is a Jewish miracle.
Eight crazy nights. Absolutely, man. So that's excellent. Take advantage. Take full advantage. That's wonderful.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight and everyone listening later on. It's really lovely to be in your ears and having this conversation.
And I'm thrilled
for inviting me, guys.
Real guys talking about
Mike, come on. Yeah, I mean, Jesus, Mike. No, as I said when I got the text today, hey, I'm coming out with you guys. I'm like, that's fantastic because I miss you guys. I can think back of our first real hang at that doomed New York Comic Con when they shut the doors and it was the convention of the damned, and Brian took pity on me and said, John, you want to sit down? You can sit with me, David, and Michael. I'm like, sure, man. And it was great. And I really got to know all three of you. And I'm like, awesome. Oh, this is nice. I like these guys. All right.
There you go.
All right, everybody. Any final comments? Mostly.
No, we're good. I just thank you, everyone. Everyone's ready next time. I want to make sure I got everything. Yes. For those who are asking for Powers things, it's the Powers 25th anniversary. Dark Horse is all in on it. You're getting a lot of fun stuff all year long, including check your newsletter this week. All right. So
more information coming. Absolutely.
Right. I'm giving out free Powers in the newsletter this week.
All right. Don't sign, don't hang up on me. I want to talk to you guys after.
Oh, that's right. Here comes the real show.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, sorry.
For those of you, stay with it. There's a 40% chance John won't hang up right, and you'll get to hear some real shit. So
no, we'll be fine.
Here comes the after show. It's like Andy Cohen's Bravo after show.
This is probably the last video I'm doing before the holidays. So everybody have a fantastic Christmas, a fantastic Hanukkah, a wonderful Kwanzaa, and don't worry. There's product coming I don't leave you high and dry during the holidays. There's always more Word Balloon.
Yeah, there's more coming. Also,
fear
we're not on Twitter, but we're on Blue Sky and we're on the Threads and the Instagram.
There you go.
And the newsletter. All right.
Indeed.
All right.
All right. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.
Excel.